mob economy. I know it's fantastic, and that will just spike. This is wonderful. So since this has been such a smashing success right out of the gate, um, let's press down, don't you think? Put the pedal to the floor here, and let's start moving into leading the nation in
In what?
other innovations with respect to drugs. Start
Prostitution.
legalizing. Well, yes, legalize prostitution, obviously, but in addition to that, legalize other drugs so that you can have, my vision here. And I'm not a commercial developer, but so you can have your video poker strip malls all over the state. You get your video poker store
Hmm.
storefront right there. Then you got your brothel. Then you
Yeah.
got your marijuana dispensary, and then start doing separate and distinct businesses that for designer drugs, for opioids, maybe something specifically like legalize opioids,
Oh
so you
boy.
don't have to get prescriptions, and I mean the same arguments you would make that you would make about marijuana. Let's hear about the medicinal benefits of opioids, and of course there are some. Maybe you can get that big pharma family who
Oh, that's
had
right.
just squirreled away $10 billion before the feds came for them. Maybe they can get involved here and help us to develop uh, the commoditization of opioids and other drugs too. I mean, why stop at marijuana? Why is that line drawn? That line's just as arbitrary, one could argue, as the line that was drawn to make it illegal in the first place, right?
Well, Governor Pritzker says we're ending the 50-year-long war on cannabis. So, and
Well,
end our 50-year-long war on opioids,
let's end more
on
wars.
cocaine.
I
Yeah.
want to end more wars. I want to expunge more records. I want people to have maximum freedom
Well, he
because
did pardon 11,000 low-level marijuana convictions.
maximum freedom, that's what we want, right? There are no restraints. No restraints, uh, no restraints certainly by the state. And of course, then that sort of leads one to have no restraints on their personal conduct. Because why should you? As Juliana Stratton said, it's legal. If it's legal, then you should do it.
I think the media was trying to get her to take a gummy. Pick out your favorite kind and have it.
It's fun. This is fun. This is maximum freedom. We're getting there. I mean, other than the taxation.
Well, and the
Uh,
taxation, I mean, people should know if you buy, it's either going to be 10%, 20%, or 25% of the purchase price,
who cares?
depending on how much THC is in it.
Who cares? Love it. Maximum freedom. There's no price too high, either in dollars and cents or personal destruction. There's no price too high to indulge maximum freedom. Isn't that right? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Ken in Plainfield, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, really two quick points. One, with legalizing everything, I think you take away the gangs and reduce the prison population, and
Sure.
the people are going to use drugs are going to use drugs. I mean, not the best point, but that's one thing. The second thing, I think that the state is just looking at the fact that if they get everybody stoned, they're just worrying about where to score their next bag of Doritos instead of the excessive taxes that they're putting on us.
I think the
So
second.
that could be their plan.
Thanks for the call, Ken. The second point, I mean, that's just the benefit to have a docile electorate. That's just a sort of a side benefit. They already have a docile electorate here. How much more docile do you need them? I don't think that's it. I think it's ideological, and it's being papered over with this being some sort of moral position, this being some sort of revenue generator. That's what's happening. Oh, by the way, in Colorado, where it's legal,
Yeah.
we've talked about this before with Steve Malenga, City Journal, Manhattan Institute. Funny things happen. It's legal, so it takes the crime out of it, the criminal element. Mm. Finding in Colorado that the Mexican drug cartels are getting back into the cannabis business,
Really?
sending their people up to take advantage of the opportunities that Colorado's legalization provides.
Well, I know someone who drove a car to Colorado, loaded up, drove back to Illinois, made a killing reselling the stuff. But
Mi-
now they don't have to do it because now it's legal in Illinois.
Mike on the north side.
Good morning. So, how much money did you make with that carload from Colorado, Amy?
Yeah, right.
Enough
Not
to buy new
me.
uniforms for the volleyball crew?
Exactly. We needed a sponsor, Mike. Come on.
There you go. Dan, you are naive. You talk
Yes,
about
very naive.
prostitution, making it legal. We already have it. It's called the Chicago Democratic Machine.
Hi-oh.
They ought to just come out from the closet. Just put the bribe counter at the front of the office of anywhere you want to go. Permits, building contracts. Just pay the bribe up front. You don't have to go to Madison and Loomis and meet the guy at the Palace Grill and give him a bag of money. Just put it up front. That way you can deduct it off your taxes.
All right.
Miscellaneous business expense, your bribe.
All right, thanks for the call, Mike. Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So, what has dawned on me about this is it's just going along with how the left is basically looking to take and destroy this place. I mean, using Saul Alinsky's tactics as a guide in that. They use the public school system in a way to take and dumb us all down, dumb down our kids and everything like that, and turn us into, the protesters and all that. Well, there's marijuana going against the federal law, dumbing us down some more with the marijuana. It's all part of their plan. It all fits in.
Thanks for the call, Craig. Patricia on the South Side.
Yes, good morning. I'm wondering why no one, Dan and Amy, is discussing the fallout of getting a contact high. Not only from porch to porch in your backyard where it comes over, but also indoors where your children are going to have a contact high and perhaps eat the laced THC candy. And so, all the screaming and yelling we endured for 3 or 4 months on the television about the children and flavored vapor.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't they concerned about the children and the THC-laced gummy bears and cookies that they're going to take to school? Aren't the children going to be infected? And don't I have a right to clean air? What about the right to clean air? I have a right not to be high and breathing in marijuana fumes through my apartment walls in the elevator. I have a right. No one's talking about that. When it was the cigarettes, I have a right to clean air. Well, I have a right not to be with a contact high. Isn't that true?
Great question.
Yeah, I mean, you're not
Patricia.
supposed to walk down the street and smoke your joints. You're supposed to smoke it inside. But everybody knows. You've been smelling it more and more while you're walking down the street or going shopping. It's there.
Great questions, Patricia. Yeah, those are quite. Maybe put those to Candace Gingrich or her partner there, Kelly Cassidy, or all the other politicians. Juliana Stratton celebrating this as
so
a
weird. It was uncomfortable to watch
This is
that.
an unequivocal home run for Illinois. This is we're in Dr. Pangloss land, the best of all possible worlds. We're in Candide.
Well, how long do you think before marijuana is legal nationwide?
A long time. Mike in Union, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning. Hey, your mention of the drug cartels from Mexico getting involved is a perfect, point. Isn't it? It's still against the law federally. It's a perfect way for everybody to hide cash from money laundering, and also for the politicians for their white envelopes going across the table at all their fundraisers. It's all about the money. They don't care if little kids are getting high and all that other stuff. It's just a money grab.
Thanks for the call, Mike. By the way, since we've talked about this previously, just to refresh, the THC in these legal strains of marijuana is not your Woodstock baby boomer THC. The levels are exponentially higher. That's certainly been the case in Colorado, Washington State. I assume it'll be the case here as well.
And it's so weird. The higher they are, the more they tax you.
And we've talked to people that are like medical professionals about the impact that marijuana can have, the correlation between heavy marijuana use and mental illness. But Candace in Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin.
Hi, good morning. Welcome back.
Thank you.
What bothers me about this whole thing, all this legalization of everything, is to me it seems like it's all about cartels. Everything from sanctuary city to not having bail bonds, letting repeat offenders out, and then you put everything else together. And who's really making the money? To me, it's cartels. Mm-hmm. The Democrat Party is totally pandering to cartels. Look at their policies. Why aren't people putting this together?
Thanks, Candace.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one. Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you have pain, listen up, Dennis Prager here. You don't need to live in pain. Let me repeat that. You don't have to live in pain. Chronic pain is the worst, whether it's from an accident or pain that just develops. So Chicagoland, you're in luck. Dr. Ken Candido is one of the nation's most respected and successful pain doctors. He's been voted one of Chicago's best pain doctors several times. Bottom line, he's the pain doctor you need. Dr. Candido of Chicago Anesthesia and Pain Specialists will help you get off pain medication and all of its side effects. How? By finding the source of your chronic pain and fixing it.
This is Ken Candido of Chicago Anesthesia Pain Specialists. Let's make you pain-free.
Call Dr. Ken Candido and make an appointment with a cutting-edge, respected, and successful pain physician. Go to mypainchicago.com. That's mypainchicago.com. Thousands have been helped with their chronic pain, and you can be the next one. Get the phone number and all the info you need at mypainchicago.com.
It's a real-world reality. Gunshots. Sometimes the results are tragic. Now, there's gunshot detection technology and active shooter countermeasure technology available right now. And it was developed for the U.S. government.
Hey, this is Mike Walsh. My company is Walsh Wireless. We are the Chicagoland dealer for gunshot detection technology. This gunshot detection system is nothing short of amazing, and it is highly effective. Who uses it? Government, healthcare, education, houses of worship, entertainment, and a lot more. There are no false positives, and that's good. The system can identify the caliber of the gun, so law enforcement can be prepared. This gunshot detection system can also work with your current security system to do a lockdown, instant notification, and more. Identify the gunshot and cut down response time. You need this. Gunshot detection technology from Walsh Wireless. Cost-effective solution to counter a real-world reality.
Financing available. Go to walshwireless.com. A proud IBEW contractor. walshwireless.com.
Is this your situation? Cellular or data services are bad inside your building or vehicle? People notice. People complain. This is Kelly Piles. My company is PC Net Services. We can fix that annoying problem. Resolving this is not as complicated or as expensive as you might think, but it does make a difference. I have worked with the largest cellular providers in the nation. We could improve your cellular and data signal inside your building with all major carriers. No more dropped calls, no more complaints. First responders, government agencies, and business owners have used us to get a better signal inside their building. We can do the same for you. PCNet Services, a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business connecting you to the world.
Get better cell service in your building, no matter which carrier. For a free analysis, call PCNet Services, 815-545-4439. 815-545-4439.
AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Is President Trump ready for the impeachment trial at 6:06?
And later, Tulsi Gabbard nails it. We'll explain. But now let's head straight into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
2 babies dead, 2 adults critically hurt in a South Shore incident. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Bernie Sanders is in the lead. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The senator was the top fundraiser among the Democratic presidential candidates last quarter by far. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, the Sanders campaign rounded out the year with a $34.5 million cash haul raised over the past few months. The average donation was $18 and came primarily from teachers and blue-collar workers. The campaign also announced it had reached 5 million individual contributions, more than any other Democratic candidate and more than President Trump. The Pete Buttigieg campaign announced they raised $24.7 million in the same period. Meanwhile, the Trump campaign says it raised $46 million in the final quarter of 2019. Dave?
Rachel, 2 other Democrats. Elizabeth Warren came in at $17 million in the fourth quarter. Joe Biden, who's leading in many national polls, $15 million. After 2 days of violent protests in Iraq.
The U.S. Embassy in Baghdad has suspended some public operations, canceling future appointments, and even warning U.S. citizens to avoid even approaching the U.S. Embassy there. Iran-backed militia groups breached parts of the compound, part of the outer perimeters, really, setting fires and throwing projectiles at U.S. forces guarding the facility.
That's Fox's Doug Luzader. Taiwan's top military general has been killed in a helicopter crash, along with 7 others. went down shortly after takeoff from a Taiwanese Air Force Base. 5 on board survived. A basketball icon has died. Not a player, but an NBA pioneer. David Stern was commissioner for 30 years.
Among Stern's greatest accomplishments in his tenure, expanding the global presence of the NBA, setting up exhibition games and training camps worldwide. Stern also instrumental in the creation of the WNBA and growing his league to 30 franchises across North America.
Fox's Matt Napolitano. Stern was 77. A baseball legend has also died. Ex-Yankee pitcher Don Larson, famous for being the only pitcher to ever throw a perfect game in the World Series. He was 90. America's listening to Fox News.
In Chicago, we have 36 degrees this morning at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 2 young children are dead. 2 adults fighting for their lives. It follows this morning an incident in the South Shore neighborhood. Police say officers found a woman and a baby early this morning on the ground in front of an apartment building. That was in the 7200 block of South Shore Drive. Officers were then directed by security to check an 11th floor apartment. There, they discovered a man with cuts to his face and body and an infant unresponsive in a bathtub. The man claimed the daughter began stabbing him and then jumped from the 11th floor with her 1-year-old son. 3 are dead and several others are hurt following a crash on Chicago's far south side. Police say a Nissan ran a red light and collided with an SUV last night in the 1400 block of West 112th Place. Authorities have identified a tow truck driver who was struck and killed by a vehicle on the Eisenhower Expressway in Maywood. Cook County Medical Examiner's Office says Andrew Fadier of Berkeley was towing cars from an earlier crash when a vehicle traveling in the right lane veered and struck the emergency worker near 9th Avenue yesterday morning. Doctors and nurses across the state say they're seeing post-holiday flu bumps. A number of people have turned up in emergency rooms and express care clinics with influenza B. Chicago area residents have spent 2 weeks traveling and sharing germs. Doctors now say many of those are getting sick. Chicago's coming off one of the wettest years ever. National Weather Service says 49.5 inches of rain accumulated in 2019. That makes it the 3rd wettest year in Chicago on record, only behind 2011 and 2008. Bulls welcome the Jazz tonight to the UC, while the Blackhawks visit the Canucks to ring in the new year. Fighting Illini on the road in the Big Ten, opening the 2020 basketball slate against number 16 Michigan State. The news service of Discover. Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year automatically. No limit to how much they'll match. Millions of people a year are getting their cash back matched. Learn more at discover.com/cashbackmatch. 6:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Celebrate the new year with a change. Stamp your passport to paradise. Escape Chicago and join Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson in Huatuco, Mexico. You'll stay at the Secrets Huatuco Resort and Spa from March 28th through April 4th. It's a beautiful adults-only unlimited luxury resort located on Conejos Bay. Don't get left out in the cold this year. Visit 560theanswer.com/passport. That's 560theanswer.com/passport. Presented by Joe Cotton Ford.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. Conservatives, and in particular evangelicals, who minimize the importance of President Trump's judicial appointments, betray a naivete about the growing perils to religious liberty in our country today. Too many do not grasp the sheer number of cases on the religious clauses of the First Amendment that have reached the High Court in recent years. The Hobby Lobby decision in 2014 and the Masterpiece Cake decision of 2018 are perhaps the highest profile of the enormously important decisions we've seen, and the cases keep coming. The court has recently agreed to review decisions by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit on the ability of 2 Catholic schools in California to operate out of Christian conviction. The answer from the court will be crucial to the future of religious education across the country. For those whose faith is crucial to their lives, the Trump judges make all the difference in the world. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
Publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu.
Attention men and women, if you're one of the millions that suffer from discomfort with your knee, back, or shoulder, and it's becoming harder to enjoy simple things like working out or just going for a walk, please listen carefully. My name is Donna Taylor, founder of CBD Labs. And here's my story. I was suffering with so much physical discomfort that I had to do something about it. With CBD products popping up everywhere, how do you know which product to use? I was determined to create the most powerful CBD product available from the hemp plant that contains no THC. And we did. CBD Labs is the highest concentrate full-spectrum CBD tested in FDA labs. It goes to work in just minutes, and we guarantee it. Call now and find out how to get a free bottle of CBD Labs and get our ebook on everything and anything CBD as your free gift.
To get your free bottle of CBD Labs, call 800-490-7843. That's 800-490-7843. Free bottles for a limited time. Call now, 800-490-7843, 800-490-7843.
If you have pain, I hope you listen up. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. You don't need to live in pain. Let me repeat that. You do not have to live in pain. Chronic pain is the worst, whether it's from an accident or pain that just develops. Chicagoland, you're in luck. Dr. Ken Candido is one of the nation's most respected and successful pain doctors. He's been voted one of Chicago's best pain doctors several times. Bottom line, he's the pain doctor you need. Dr. Candido of Chicago Anesthesia and Pain Specialists will help you get off pain medication and all of the side effects. How? By finding the source of your chronic pain and fixing it.
This is Ken Candido of Chicago Anesthesia Pain Specialists. Let's make you pain-free.
Call Dr. Ken Candido and make an appointment with a cutting-edge, respected, and successful pain physician. Go to mypainchicago.com. That's mypainchicago.com. Thousands have been helped with their chronic pain, and you could be the next one. Get the phone number and all the info you need at mypainchicago.com. That's mypainchicago.com.
It's the year-end sale at Mattress Firm. Shop now and save up to $600 when you get a king bed for the price of a queen, or a queen for the price of a twin. Plus, get a free adjustable base when you spend just $4.99.
6:08 AM 560 traffic center time in Jim.
Traffic is light right now for the most part on the area expressways and tollways. We do have a stall on the inbound Ryan at the Stevenson. It just cleared out of the right lane, though, and traffic's moving pretty well in that area. See a tad bit of congestion on the inbound Bishop Ford Freeway approaching the merge, and on the inbound Stevenson at the area between Pulaski and Kedzie. Otherwise, right now, it's pretty clear sailing. The Edens, the Kennedy are fine. The Eisenhower as well. Saturday at 1 a.m., access from the outbound Ike to the outbound Kennedy closes for Burns Circle reconstruction sometime late this year. No problems to report right now on Lakeshore Drive or the area tollways, and Northwest Indiana's looking good. And that's traffic. I'm Jim Alamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. And our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Some sun, but then turning cloudy today. The high at 46. Clouds tonight and tomorrow. Low tonight 32. High tomorrow 38. A snow shower on Saturday morning. Otherwise a cloudy day. The high Saturday 34. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
38 at the world's busiest airport. 39 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Happy 2020. Good morning, Dan and Amy. And
2020.
A couple of programming notes and a couple of thank yous. Programming notes first.
Yes.
Some great new shows coming.
Oh, yes.
your
We
way
have
in
a
2020.
debut
Yeah.
today of the Dan Proft Show.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. And
I'm
it's
ta-
going to...
I'm talking about an
You're
important
going
show. I'm talking about an
nationwide.
important show. I'm talking about Jeopardy's greatest of all time throwdown.
That's going to be cool.
That starts tomorrow night.
Oh, it's in prime time?
Yes, prime time
Ooh.
between James Holzhauer from Naperville, Ken Jennings, and Brad Reuter for $1 million, and the two who lose get $250,000 each. So the way this sets up, and this is great, and thank God that Alex Trebek is
Still here to
healthy
do it.
enough to do it. Yeah.
I think that's why they're doing it, because I think he's on the driveway home.
Well.
Oh my God, listen to me. I saw it. Brutal.
Okay, 2020
My
Deadpool.
God, excuse me.
But I mean, this is so the way this is going to go is first one to three. First one to win 3 games wins. So this is going to, we don't know how many shows you're going to have, but this is going to be awesome.
I can't wait.
That's awesome. So that's a little programming note there. You want to set your VCRs. Does anybody have one of those anymore?
No,
I don't think so.
DVR it. But, and then the Dan Proft show airs tonight from 9 to midnight.
No. Well, the 9 to midnight Eastern.
Eastern.
And you got to check your local listings. Yeah. So my first show, my new show, in addition to this show.
Right.
And it's danproftshow.com. There's a landing page up, websites under construction, but danproftshow.com. You can begin your day with Dan and Amy. You can end your day by listening to podcasts of my show.
So that's 7 hours of radio a day. Hope it doesn't affect our relationship.
Not in the Chicago market, because people
No.
have asked, so it's not going to be on AM 560 here. But
you can still listen to danproftshow.com.
Yeah, and in the digital age, you can write podcasts and all that stuff. So danproftshow.com. So that now 2 thank yous. One, we got the note from our program director last week. Record-setting Food for the Poor campaign this year. We're north of $200,000, and donations are still coming in, and we're obviously still welcoming them. Remember, we were just trying to raise enough money to feed 600 Venezuelan families that have been displaced and fled to Colombia for refuge. Out of 4 million, Food for the Poor feeding 9,000 people a day in Colombia. And so they have campaigns going on around the country. But it's great that we exceeded our goal and have had the best campaign ever. So we appreciate our listeners' generosity.
First time in over 10 years that we exceeded that $200,000 mark. But think of how different 2020 now looks for hundreds of thousands of people that have fled to Colombia from Venezuela. You've changed their lives because of your donations.
And
we really appreciate it.
Probably a lot of people able to make donations because Trump has changed their lives with the market performance during his presidency.
And less regulations for small businesses and medium-sized businesses and large corporations.
One other thank you. This is something particular to our show that we launched after we had Joseph O'Call on the show. He's the chess coach at Earl STEM Academy in Inglewood. He started the chess program there. He's a math teacher as well. He crossed the picket line during the most recent CPS CTU strike, and he is teaching children in one of the toughest neighborhoods in America to love chess and all that comes with playing chess in terms of the life lessons that we've talked about that you could extrapolate, and just like athletics. But this is intellectual development, and it's going great, and the kids are doing great, and they're going to tournaments, and they're winning trophies, and it's just a great story, this one man's initiative. I said he's like the Jaime Escalante of chess on the south side of Chicago.
Yeah.
So there's not enough money in CPS's $8 billion budget to pay for a successful little chess team at Earl STEM Academy. And they want to compete at the state in Peoria in, I think the state in Peoria is February, the end of February, and then nationals if they can get there in Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah.
So that he put together a budget of what they need to be able to take the kids to Peoria, to take the kids to Jacksonville, Florida, which was $11,775.
Yeah, and he did not inflate the numbers. That's a real cost.
And I know that, and so we did a GoFundMe, and we hit our goal. Thanks. So I want to thank everybody who donated to this. We're at $12,000.
Good.
And just so you know, as what Amy was saying, that he was just literally looking to cover the travel, the lodging, the food. The way it works, so we don't have to send it to the Chicago Public School System and have it get lost or have them take their cut,
chunk, yeah.
which they did previously.
I know, because previously you sent a check to the school and you call them like, hey, did you get the check?
Yeah.
No, I didn't get the check. Well, I sent the check, and I know other people sent checks to the school too.
And we learned the hard way that the other time we did it, there was like a 5% handling fee, administrative fee CPS took out of the money raised for this chess team. It's insane.
It's disgusting.
So we're avoiding all that, and so I wanted to just convey this so donors know, is I'm actually paying directly the vendors from the money raised. I'm going to pay for for the bus, for the lodging, for the food, for the air travel as it pertains to Jacksonville. So there's no middleman. There's no cut being taken by the school system. All the money you raise is going specifically for these 2 trips so that chess team can compete at the state and the national tournament. So thank you for all those who donated Food for the Poor. Thank you to all those who donated to Joseph O'Call's chess team at Earl STEM as well.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
I just want to tell you that I can't believe what this has done, and I've only been taking it for, a couple of months? I don't know. I got to the point where I was very discouraged, and my energy was down, and I tell you, my wife says this stuff is wonderful. I feel so much better. My attitude is different, and my energy is good, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
See how getting a variety of over 10 servings of whole fruits and vegetables every day can make a difference for you this year. To help you start your New Year's resolutions right, Balance of Nature is offering 35% off and free shipping on your first preferred order of Balance of Nature. This New Year's special won't last, so call in now. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code Chicago.
Real travel is life-changing. With Trafalgar, you'll discover the best way to travel and connect with the culture, people, and places you visit. You'll travel with the freedom to discover and the confidence to explore. With over 300 trips on all 7 continents, you get real experiences that you won't find elsewhere. These are just a few of the greatest travel stories you'll ever tell. Save up to 7.5% on trips. Terms and conditions apply. Visit your travel agent or Trafalgar.com. Trafalgar, simply the best.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Limu, when we're not telling people that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need, I've actually been moonlighting as a DJ. What? Check it! Here's the good part! Liberty, 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 liberty. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Tell me if this is you. There's an outdoor project that you've been wanting to get done, but you just don't have the time or patience to deal with unprofessional contractors. It's a common theme of frustration. You need AM Woodland Outdoor Design for a professional design and a team that will show up on time to get the job done. They'll even let you know throughout the project how everything's going. Imagine that. When you're ready to liven up your curb appeal or completely redesign your outdoor living space, the perfect solution? AM Woodland Design. With so many landscape contractor options to choose from, use a team that shares your values of hard work, honesty, integrity, and patriotism. AM Woodland Outdoor Design proudly sponsors Food for the Poor as a business benefactor and would be honored to work with you.
AM Woodland Outdoor Design, proudly serving Lake, Northern Cook, and Kenosha counties, helping make the communities they grew up in as beautiful as they can be. Visit amwoodland.com, that's amwoodland.com, or call 847-224-2167.
A business needs to be built on a great foundation, one with the framework of integrity and tradition. Chapel Design Build delivers just that, providing design build and general contracting services using Butler Steel Building Systems. Their projects dot the landscape from O'Hare to DeKalb. You see their work in office and warehouse additions, recreational facilities, large-scale distribution centers, and manufacturing plants all over northern Illinois. Partnering with Butler Steel Buildings, Chapel Design Build has developed an extensive subcontractor base and valuable market knowledge to get your quality-built project completed on time and on budget, ensuring your project is a success for your business and one that you will be proud of for years to come. The goal is to build lasting relationships with their clients using buildings that last from Butler. Get started on your next building project built with Butler Steel. Visit chapeldb.com. That's Chapel D as in design, B as in build.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, how would you recommend the White House tackle the impeachment trial if there's going to be one? It seems to me there's 3 options.
What?
There's Mitch McConnell can have a trial without the articles of impeachment being delivered by Pelosi.
Okay.
He can, and that would include, by the way, as is recommended by Christopher Roach, an interesting piece in amgreatness.com, dismiss the impeachment without a trial. But I mean, in other words, McConnell can move on the matter and not wait for Pelosi to deliver the articles of impeachment. That's one option. He can wait for the articles of impeachment to be delivered and then move in one direction or the other. And whether he waits or doesn't wait, should he indulge any consideration of additional witnesses that Democrats are demanding? So wait, don't wait. Have a trial, don't have a trial. Allow Democrats to call witnesses, or just allow the two sides to present their cases and go to a vote.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
Here's
Which
what
one do you want?
Well, we'll get to my view on it, but here's what President Trump, his view on Nancy Pelosi and the impeachment matter. He was asked about it outside Mar-a-Lago on New Year's Eve.
Democrats did in the House was a disgrace. What they did, how unfair it was. We didn't get lawyers, we didn't have witnesses, we didn't do anything, and still we got 100% of the Republican votes, and it was bipartisan because we got 3 Democrats. So I think the impeachment thing, I call it impeachment light. It's a disgrace. And Nancy Pelosi should be ashamed of herself. She's a highly overrated person. I know her well. She's highly overrated.
So do you want to see it dragged out as long as the House Democrats want to drag it out? Or do you want Mitch McConnell to move this along expeditiously in one of the ways that I described, the options that are before him?
Well, senators are back in Washington, D.C. today. Mitch McConnell said he's going to proceed normally. I mean, he said as of right now he's going to wait for articles of impeachment and see what happens. That's what I want him to do. But I honestly don't think Nancy Pelosi's ever going to send him.
Well, Tulsi Gabbard, she has an opinion. She took to Twitter on the matter of impeachment. She is still running for president, even though she's been sort of
ostracized from her Democratic community.
Exiled, really. She has a perspective on impeachment that suggests that, if you're a Republican, you should want this to go on as long as possible.
In 2020, we will have a new president in the White House. But the real question is, how many of you do not want that to be Donald Trump? I definitely don't. But unfortunately, the House impeachment of the president has greatly increased the likelihood that Donald Trump will remain the president for the next 5 years. Now, first, we all know that Trump is not going to be found guilty and removed from office by the U.S. Senate. It's not going to happen. Second, the impeachment, in my view, will actually increase his support amongst voters, and it's going to make him harder to defeat. Furthermore, the House impeachment has increased the likelihood that Republicans will take over the House of Representatives. So I'm really concerned that because of this House impeachment, we will end up not only with Donald Trump as president from 2020 to 2024, we'll actually end up with a Republican-controlled Senate and a Republican-controlled House. This is going to be a disaster for our country.
It's interesting.
She nailed it.
Well, it's interesting, particularly for those Republicans who have sort of a soft spot in their heart for Tulsi Gabbard because she's being pilloried by the Democrat socialists and because she looks good in a white pantsuit. Just remember who she is. She's not on the Republicans' team. She's not a conservative. She's a socialist. She's a more pleasant one. She's an independent thinker, but a lot of her independent thoughts are erroneous. Just keep that in mind. But I'm not necessarily persuaded by Tulsi Gabbard's concern generally, overall. But I think she is right that at present, the impeachment is redounding to the benefit of Trump politically. They clearly have not persuaded the middle, meaning House Democrats. And by the way, this came through in some Mason-Dixon polling earlier this week, where Trump is up in Virginia. Virginia, a blue state.
Right.
The fact he's up at all is remarkable. He's up on all of the four leading contenders, with the exception of Biden. He's down 2 points in Virginia to Biden, but that's a statistical dead heat. Wow. He's in a tie, or he's up on all the candidates, all the top four in terms of the polling: Warren, Pete, Bernie, and Biden. In Virginia, that says you haven't persuaded people who are not inclined to particularly like Trump. And it's sort of the same story in Florida. But Virginia is the one that should really concern Democrats, and it sort of speaks to, I think, what Gabbard is saying.
But do you know how much time I spent over the past week explaining to people who were complaining, well, there's not going to have any witnesses, so why have the trial anyway? I said they could have had the witnesses in the House, but they chose not to subpoena them. They rushed it through. Nixon's House Judiciary Committee went from February all the way to June. This one was done in 2 days. And then you watch it a few weeks. But
yeah.
I mean,
but
you watch them process it like, oh, I said, well, that's why, because the House didn't do their job. Pelosi didn't do her job.
Well, they did the job they chose to do.
Well,
it's unpersuasive.
Right, it's unpersuasive, and it was wrong. It was rushed through.
And Doug Jones, the senator from Alabama, trying to cover his backside with his reelection in 2020, has an op-ed in the Washington Post. And he, again, the appeals to truth and fairness. That's what you're going to continue to hear from congressional Democrats. For Americans to have confidence in the impeachment process, writes Jones, the Senate must conduct a full, fair, and complete trial with all relevant evidence regarding the president's conduct. I fear, however, that we are headed toward a trial that is not intended to find the whole truth. For the sake of the country, this must change. And he goes to the four witnesses they want called that were they could not get before, or they chose not to pursue in court to get before House Judiciary and House Intel. The four they want, of course, are Bolton and Bolton aide,
Mick Mulvaney,
Chief of Staff Mulvaney. Yeah. Bolton and Mulvaney are the top two, and then an official from OMB. And so this is the Democrats' play is it's not going to be fair. We need to hear from these witnesses. And hey, listen. This is what Jamie Reskin said over the weekend. Democrat from Maryland who's on House Judiciary Committee. Hey, we got to hear from these witnesses. The Senate has to do its due diligence. And Democrat senators need to be open-minded towards to the prospect of exculpatory evidence being presented, just as Republican senators need to be open-minded about information that may come to light that would change their opinion about Trump and about what he is alleged to have done that would implicate him. So you got to be open-minded about evidence that would implicate. You got to be open-minded about evidence that would exonerate. We just need a fair trial. This is the Democrats' line. This is their sort of secondary position now that their impeachment gambit, the articles that they passed, have been found wholly unpersuasive. They can't even get, frankly, the public's attention about it.
No, people's eyes glaze over. Seriously, nobody cares anymore. Well, I shouldn't say nobody, but most Americans are sick of this.
Well, what they see it
they
as
have impeachment hangovers.
Well, they also see it as a political process. And I know you're hearing some chirping from Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski about, you don't want to prejudge. They're doing the same thing Doug Jones is doing in Alabama. They're just covering their backsides with their electorate. They don't want to be seen as unfair or just in the tank for Trump. So they're saying, of course not, we shouldn't prejudge. We shouldn't. We
don't like the fact that McConnell's speaking with White House counsel and all that.
McConnell shouldn't preordain this. Elizabeth Warren shouldn't preordain this. Nobody should preordain this. We got to keep open minds and be all about fair play. Here's the thing, and Jason Riley at the Journal put this very well last week. It's a political process. So I expect that Mitch McConnell will be just as political and partisan as Nancy Pelosi was. And why shouldn't you? And on the Senate trial side, the difference is, and this is more pushback to the left, to your friends, Amy. Mm-hmm. By the way, Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts, remember the guy who saved Obamacare? He presides over the trial in the Senate. Now, he doesn't set the ground rules. He would if there were arguments before his court.
Right, but he's a judge.
But he's presiding over it. So there's your fairness, as it were. The rest of this is political. And why should it be less political in the Senate than it was in the House? You've set the standard, House Democrats. Mary Kay in Western Springs, you're in Chicago's Morning
Hi,
Answer.
good morning, you guys. You were talking about, people are not as smart as they appear. And they're not, because they're just not. Nobody is as smart as they appear, including Sean. Sean's not that smart.
Well, I know
But my
that.
cousin, Elmo
Yeah,
Park, I know
yeah,
you know that.
I know
But,
that.
Nancy looks the part. Nancy, she's impressed. I mean, she didn't get to be Speaker of the House being a complete idiot. And she knows what she's doing, I think, as far as trying to figure out whether to prolong the impeachment hearings or in trial or go to trial or, it's all a game. The Dems, the Republicans, they're just pitted against each other. It's just a game and it's bullshit. Oh, sorry.
Oh, hello,
Hey,
hello,
though.
hello.
Hey,
Jump
hey.
on.
Sorry.
That's all
Wow.
right. Thanks for the call, Mary
First
Kay.
swear of 2020.
Jeez. It's-
Keep it clean, people.
I think that's a byproduct of having Sean from Elmwood Park in your family.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk about capitalism and socialism, and that's even in Republican ranks with Jim Pinkerton, contributor to American Conservative and Breitbart at 6:36.
And later, how big is it? Whew. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
36 degrees at 6:32. A major storm bearing down on the south. We're watching the possibility of heavy rain, a chance of floods. Severe thunderstorms could spawn tornadoes in places like Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo postponing his trip to Ukraine because of troubles at the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. Taiwan's top military officer and 7 others have been killed in an Air Force helicopter crash in a mountainous area outside of Taipei. 5 others survived. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and President Donald Trump are still at odds, despite pro-Iranian demonstrators withdrawing from the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. The latest from NBC's Hans Nichols, who is covering the story.
Now, the Ayatollah basically saying that the U.S. doesn't have any power, can't really control anything that's happening in their country. President saying, though, that he doesn't want war, that he likes peace, and that Iran should also want to avoid war.
In other news this morning, smoke from Australia's deadly brush fires, turning glaciers brown in New Zealand. We're seeing pictures this morning showing the glaciers and snow-capped peaks, all with a hint of brown as wildfire smoke drifts in from Australia. David Stern, who spent 30 years as the NBA commissioner and oversaw its growth into a global powerhouse, has died. He's 77. 2 young children are dead. 2 adults fighting for their lives this morning following an incident in Chicago's South Shore neighborhood. 3 are dead after a crash on Chicago's far south side. It happened overnight on West 112th Place. And authorities have identified the tow truck driver hit and killed by a vehicle along the Eisenhower Expressway in Maywood as Andrew Fadir of Berkeley. College Bowl action wins for Oregon over Wisconsin. Minnesota beat Auburn. Alabama topped Michigan. And in the Sugar Bowl, Georgia ran by Baylor last night. Bulls welcome the Jazz to the UC this evening, and the Blackhawks visiting the Canucks to ring in the new year. The news, a service of Indeed.com. Indeed provides hiring managers the straightest path to the best new employees. Customized solutions like screener questions will help you see beyond the resume. Post your next job at Indeed.com/hire. 6:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager still doesn't understand the impeachment.
No member came here to impeach the president. How does she say that with a straight face? But truth is not a left-wing value. What they always say he violated the Constitution, but what did he violate in the Constitution? Has there ever been an impeachment where only one party wanted the president impeached? No. This is unprecedented.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Names matter. Your name, the name you've made for yourself, and the name of the company you represent. Because of you, they're names people can trust. That's why at 4imprint, every name and logo is printed with certainty. We pay attention to every detail because we know the way your name appears is the way it's remembered. So you'll know for certain that every item, from the right apparel to the most popular tech items, will be right the first time, on time, every time. at a great price, guaranteed. Because when you have passion, integrity, and certainty, the only name they'll remember is yours. Explore thousands of promotional products at 4imprint.com. That's the number 4, imprint.com. 4imprint. For certain.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson to talk about my incredible experience with Online Trading Academy. I signed up for my own free class, and you can too. You'll be introduced to skills to take control of your financial future. You'll learn the right moves to make when the economy turns and how to spend less time worrying about life and more time living it. You know, no one else will ever care about your financial future as much as you do. It's time for you to start learning how to invest in you. Seats are limited. Just call 844-778-7132 to attend and get 2 free passes to their next class so you can check this all out. And if you call right now, they will send you home with their Professionals Insider Kit. It's loaded with exclusive investing courses and some of their best lessons from the pros. This is a limited opportunity and seats go quickly, so call 844-778-7132. That's 844-778-7132, or visit them online at otaclass.com, otaclass.com.
Get the best sleep of your life. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off during their holiday sale.
6:37 in the AM 560 traffic center. Here is Jim Telemonte.
Metra has manpower issues on the Union Pacific North Line. Metra says train 310 will not operate due to those issues. Eden's Expressway is clear. No delays to report on the Kennedy. The Eisenhower is fine. Inbound Stevenson at California, there's crashes reported on the exit ramp. Otherwise, the Stevenson is pretty clear. Inbound Ryan, traffic moves nicely. Outbound as well. No delays to report on I-57 or the Bishop Ford Freeway. Traffic on the tollways flows without delay. I-80 looks great. No problems to report in Northwest Indiana. Careful around Chicago Public Schools. They're back to class today. Early start after the break, after the strike, which happened last year. That's traffic. I'm Jim Calamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Some sun this morning, turning cloudy by the afternoon. High of 46, currently 38. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning. Happy 2020, Dan and Amy. Marco Rubio gave this speech at Catholic University in the fourth quarter of last year. We talked about it on this show. He and Josh Hawley, Republican senator from Missouri, are really presenting a paradigm shift for the Republican Party, the institutional Republican Party, when it comes to economic philosophy. Marco Rubio introduced what he called the idea of common good capitalism. And if this is the way the Republican Party will chooses to go, then win or lose in 2020, Trumponomics is going to be the economic philosophy of the Republican Party. Is that a good thing or bad thing? Listen to what Senator Rubio had to say.
What we need is to restore common good capitalism. What is common good capitalism? It's a system of free enterprise in which workers fulfill their obligation to work and they enjoy the benefits of their work, and where businesses enjoy their right to make a profit and reinvest enough of those profits to create dignified work for their workers and for America. And our current government policies today get this wrong. We actually reward and incentivize certain business practices that promote economic growth, but it's growth that often solely benefits shareholders at the expense of new jobs and better pay.
And Rubio concludes with the big question.
Does our country exist to serve the interests of the market? Or does the market exist to serve the interest of our nation and of our people?
For more on this conversation, we're pleased to be joined again by Jim Pinkerton. He's the co-chair of Rate Coalition and a contributor to the American Conservative as well as Breitbart. He wrote about this in response to some of the flack Rubio was taking from conservatives, including me. But it should be a good conversation. Jim, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning. So you're relatively sanguine about this notion of common good capitalism that Rubio outlined, yes?
Yes, I think he's on the right track, both politically and also strategically. One of the points he makes in his speeches, the speech you mentioned and cited to the Catholic University, he also gave a speech to the National Defense University, which is a Pentagon agency, and talking about, for example, the common good includes the common safety, and so it's been nuts for the last few decades that we've allowed all of our mines and refineries to deal with what they call rare earth elements, which are a category of 24 or so elements with crazy names like scandalum and yttrium and so on, that nobody's heard of but are vital to electronics and cell phones and computers and so on. And you can't make these high-tech devices without these obscure elements. And we over the last few decades, our production has gone to zero, and our imports from China have gone to nearly 100%. And so it's crazy to think about American security, let alone a commonwealth, if we're importing things we desperately need from a potential rival and adversary. So, Rubio is putting forth a kind of a comprehensive take on improving the lives of the average American.
Yeah, but
as well as keeping us all safe.
But here's the thing. I mean, we could have the conversation about the narrow strategic interests as it pertains to weapon systems that you're talking about with rare earth. But as you say, he's proposing a sort of a comprehensive philosophy that should drive public policy. And when he asked the question, should we serve markets or should markets serve us? Isn't that a false choice? And isn't that government centric? Markets are just people freely exchanging goods and services. Markets do serve us, and we serve markets simultaneously because it's just human interaction. And my concern about common good capitalism is that capitalism doesn't need a modifier. And it sounds very much like compassionate conservatism under George W. Bush, which didn't need a modifier but gave us a new entitlement, or the kinder, gentler conservatism under H.W. Bush, which gave us tax increases and government mandates. Anytime somebody's in the business of sort of redefining in a sentimental way, an economic, just economics, I'm concerned.
Well, okay, but take this issue with the market. In a globalized economy, the world market is 7.8 billion people, including 1.4 billion Chinese, and by contrast, America is 330 million. So, to say that there's the market should rule is really to say that 95% of the people who shape the market are outside of the United States, and that begs the question as to whether or not those 95% who live outside of the United States are in any way, concerned or want to help the United States by itself. I mean, we can't kid ourselves. There is such a thing as the national interest. We do have an interest in seeing that, elderly people get their Social Security checks, and that the American people are defended, and that children get educated, and that the environment be protected. It's just not obvious to me that Russia and China and Iran and Syria and the Congo care all that much about how well off we are. So to some extent, I think Rubio is correct that you have to take conscious steps to protect the streets of Chicago or the schools of Evanston or the environment of Berlin. I mean, you have to think positively about that, and you can't just leave it to the free market, which unfortunately has kind of turned into some combination of Silicon Valley tech companies and Chinese manufacturers. I don't think that's quite the formula for keeping the average American well off.
Right. But I mean, I don't care if Chase Bank cares about me to use their services. I mean, the business relationship, these business transactions, they're not based in caring. They're based on mutual interests. I don't care if the Chinese care about me or not. But if I can increase my purchasing price through purchasing power through Chinese imports, that improves my life. Then that's a good thing.
Well, unless, of course, the Chinese improve your life by selling you an iPhone, it turns out to be with a back door to China. In other words,
well, I understand.
You go to the Pentagon.
Yes. I understand fraud.
Every soldier in the Pentagon carries a Chinese-made iPhone. Does that strike you as a good formula for keeping America safe in the 21st century?
Well, again, I think there's the conversation about sort of narrow strategic concerns, and then there's the larger question about how to organize a free society and allow people to pursue their own economic interests. I mean, when Marco Rubio says, markets serve us, well, who's going to determine what my economic interests are? The government? I'd rather have 80 million American families determining what their economic interests are individually than Marco Rubio telling us what our interests are.
Well, I mean, that doesn't apply to pollution. It doesn't apply to crime. It doesn't apply to public education. I mean, those are issues that, long ago, and I mean, since the inception of the United States, we've sort of agreed that either a state government or a federal government would have some role to play in establishing standards, weights and measures in commerce and so on. I mean, this country would be a very poor country were it not for the interstate highways and the railroads and the St. Lawrence Seaway, pardon me, the canal from to the Atlantic Ocean. In other words, there's things that the government has done to establish infrastructure, for example, that have made 100% of us better off. Again, I'm not for big government, and I don't think Rubio is either. I think what you do see, though, is that if the government is completely clueless about the well-being of Americans, then you have open borders and mass immigration and the wipe out of American industry, including in places like the Great Lakes. These might be good for from the point of view of a global market. Of course, people in Mexico would be better off living in Illinois. I don't think that's necessarily good for Illinois, and I don't think it's good to see. I grew up in Chicago, and so I remember what it's like when there were factories everywhere, and now they're all gone. And I think that's a degradation not only of our national security, but also of our standard of living.
Well, do you think that this is at all politically risky for Rubio?
Is it politically risky to him?
Yeah.
Well, yes. He's definitely getting fire, as I noted in my piece to the American Conservative, National Review, which is sort of the former flagship of American conservatism. I mean, three writers attacked him rather strongly. One of them called him a fascist, as in Mussolini or Hitler, which I thought was kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's a little extreme.
But there is a fair number of people on the right who are sort of libertarian believers, and they're quite hostile to Rubio. And he's got his share of enemies, I suppose, just across the party. However, the idea of a balanced approach to freedom and economic self-interest. A lot of, as Rubio said in that speech to Catholic University, a lot of it comes from a famous papal encyclical from 1890, Rerum Novarum, which is Latin for "of new things," issued by Pope Leo XIII, in which Leo attempted on behalf of Catholics and Christians to say, look, capital has and business have rights, but so does labor, so do ordinary people. There should be a harmony of rights and responsibilities between capital and business, and it should include the right of private property, but should also include fair wages for workers and so on. And it's quite a profound document. written 130 years ago, and I think very much shaping the 20th century, especially the Christian Democratic parties of Europe, but also, to no small extent, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party here. I think Rubio is tapping into a very powerful vein of sentiment about how you make a better society and a better country, although he does, as you say, have his critics.
Speaking of important documents, you write in reference to the U.S. Constitution, to the Federalist Papers, in response to the machete attack at the synagogue in New York, in response to the shooting in White Settlement, Texas. The left is really struggling to continue to make guns and gun owners the bad guy in the wake of what happened in White Settlement.
Well, yeah, this Texas, I think as far as Texas is concerned, the idea that you're going to ban guns or ban carrying guns is sort of the argument is kind of over. This shooting in this church where this marksman shot the guy in the head with one shot from across the room. It's so profound in terms of as you said about a different subject earlier, a paradigm shift of who's going to provide security. I mean, it's great. The cops were on their way, and they were there within a minute or two. But in that minute or two, inside that church, that psycho, could have killed, tens, dozens, hundreds of people. Who knows? And so,
yeah,
as I wrote,
the arguments about it are just from the left, or even from sort of the some on the center right that favor things like assault weapon bans and so forth. So interesting. So what Jack Wilson did in taking down that shooter, that was great. But the fact that there were another half dozen congregants there who were armed, that's very troubling. Are we in a society now where, as one op-ed writer said, cover me, I'm going to communion, where everybody has to have a gun everywhere? And I just found that so tone deaf and such a reach, because nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying you have to do this or you have to do that. What they're saying is, I want to be able to protect myself wherever I feel I need the desire, wherever I feel I may need to protect myself, whether that's completely rational based on the percentages or not. Yes, mass shootings, being involved in mass shooting, infinitesimal probability that you will ever be in one. But Jack Wilson and those congregants were in one in White Settlement, and thank God Jack Wilson was there. There's no mandate here. You're just saying law-abiding citizens should be able to do what those congregants did.
It's really hard to argue the logic that Wayne LaPierre said, the National Rifle Association said in 2012. The only solution to a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun, and that's just whether you think it's the cops or Jack Wilson or the other people in the congregation. There's somebody a psycho running loose trying to kill people. What do? You don't. This is not the time to read him his Miranda rights. And so, I mean, as the science fiction writer Robert Heinlein wrote decades ago, an armed society is a polite society. So I think it's people who support. And the point I made in that article for Breitbart was, look, this is a states' rights issue. Texas has one view of how to keep a church safe, and New York has another view. I think a lot of people in New York are saying, "Gee, I wish we were more like Texas." That's an issue for New Yorkers to settle out with, Governor Cuomo and Mayor De Blasio, who seem kind of talk about tone deaf. They seem completely tone deaf to the the surge in crime, which I guarantee is going to have a lot of New Yorkers thinking about either leaving or buying guns, because again, nothing responds quicker to a threat than having a handgun on your person. I mean, these are not easy issues, but sometimes they become really, really clear, as in Fort Worth, Texas.
Jim Pinkerton, co-chair of Rate Coalition, contributor to the American Conservative and Breitbart. Jim, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good morning. Bye-bye.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
The Lou Dobbs Financial Report is brought to you by Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for for your commercial banking needs.
I'm Greg Clugston in for Lou Dobbs, who returns Monday. It's back to work on Wall Street. Another move to take Saks Fifth Avenue private. Those stories next.
Hi, I'm Karen, owner of Lone Star Transfer. If you are a timeshare owner, getting out is probably a top priority. And now that annual maintenance fees are coming due, this ongoing burden and expense is at the top of your list. Thankfully, we can help. Let us do for you what we have done for thousands of others across the country. Our process is done legally, ethically, and quickly. Lone Star Transfer has a 99% success rate and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. We are a family-owned business and will personally make sure your experience is a pleasant one. Don't let another day go by with maintenance fees taking your hard-earned money. Give us a call for a no-obligation consultation at 844-284-4863. That's 844-284-4863. Or online at LoneStarTransfer.com. That's LoneStarTransfer.com.
Happy New Year. Wall Street is open for business today on this first trading day of 2020 after posting some of its most record-breaking weeks leading up to New Year's Eve. President Trump's announcement that he will soon sign phase 1 of his new trade deal with China is seen as a jumpstart for Wall Street as the year begins. Saks Fifth Avenue owner Hudson's Bay Company is not giving up on its efforts to take the company private. A buyout fell short of the votes needed last month, but Reuters reports that minority shareholders may join a move to increase a buyout bid. Chocolate maker Hershey is retiring its fleet of Kissmobiles, motorized vehicles in the shape of the iconic Hershey's Kiss chocolates, because parts are becoming hard to locate. Please join us for Lou Dobbs tonight at 7 and 10 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Elevators and escalators are used thousands of times a day in millions of buildings around the world, and we rarely think about them. That is, until something goes wrong. Buildings spend a fortune on maintenance and repairs and yet still seem to experience issue after issue. If you're a property owner or manager, keeping the elevators safe and operational is at the forefront. But how much do you actually know about one of the biggest assets in your building? Elevators and escalators are highly specialized equipment, so the answer is probably not enough, but that's okay, because the Elevator Consultants are here to help. The Elevator Consultants levels the playing field for building owners and property managers, ensuring your equipment is running smoothly and affordably, especially if using the Elevator app, a game-changing technology that tracks all maintenance activity. Call the Elevator Consultants at 312-519-9949 or visit theelevatorconsultants.com to set up a free consultation. Call the Elevator Consultants, 312-519-9949.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
According to one survey, a third of millennials support communism. There's one young woman who's trying to do something about that. Morgan Zeggers. She is the founder of Young Americans Against Socialism. She'll join us at 7:07.
And later, guess what? Iowa caucuses just 32 days away. But now let's head straight into the newsroom for news here at home and around the world. Here is Mike Scott.
2 babies are dead, 2 adults critically hurt in a South Shore incident this morning. 3 are killed, 4 badly hurt in a far South Side crash. And a woman struck and killed by a CTA Yellow Line train in Evanston. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
Big bucks for Bernie. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Bernie Sanders had a surge in fundraising in the last 3 months of last year, but not nearly as much money as the president he's running to replace took in. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, with the Iowa caucuses a month away, Bernie Sanders is leading the Democratic field when it comes to fundraising, bringing in $34.5 million in the final quarter of 2019. The average donation was $18, coming largely from teachers and blue-collar workers. The campaign also says it's reached 5 million individual contributions, more than any other Democratic candidate. The Pete Buttigieg campaign raised $24.7 million during the same period. The Trump campaign raised $46 million. Dave?
Rachel, earlier we reported Elizabeth Warren took in $17 million in the third quarter, but that's a number the senator mentioned last month as she urged supporters to give more. The final tally's not out yet. We also reported Joe Biden was at $15 million. That was actually his third quarter fundraising total. It's calmer in Baghdad after 2 days of violent protests by Iran-backed militants. Some set fires and did damage. President Trump has said he'll hold Iran fully responsible.
Some Democrats place blame for the unrest in Iraq squarely on his shoulders. Connecticut Democrat Chris Murphy tweeting, "Really hard to overstate how badly Trump has bungled things in the Middle East," suggesting what the White House has called Iran-coordinated protests are instead anti-U.S. protests, thanks to Trump's mishandling of Iran policy.
Fox's Kevin Corke, the man who helped grow the NBA, has died. David Stern was NBA commissioner from 1984 to 2014, built it into a global brand. Stern was 77. A former baseball player known for one game has also died. Ex-Yankee pitcher Don Larson. That was in 1956 and still the only perfect game ever pitched in the World Series. No hits, no base runners. Don Larson was 90 and suffered from cancer. America's listening to Fox News.
36 degrees. Our time is 7:02 on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. 2 young children are dead and 2 adults are fighting for their lives this morning. It follows an incident in Chicago's South Shore neighborhood. Police say officers found a woman and a baby early this morning on the ground in front of an apartment building. That happened in the 7200 block of South Shore Drive. Inside, security directed police to an 11th floor apartment. There they discovered a man with cuts to his face and body and an unresponsive infant in a bathtub. Man claims the daughter began stabbing him and then jumped from the 11th floor with her 1-year-old son. Again, the 2 babies were pronounced dead at a nearby hospital while the man and woman are in critical condition. The investigation continues into the death of a woman after being struck by a CTA Yellow Line train in Evanston. It happened last night on the northbound tracks near McCormick Boulevard and Howard Street. Day 1 of legally purchased recreational marijuana in Illinois is in the books. Hundreds waited in lines at dispensaries around the Chicago area. Even Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton bought an edible for THC candy that she says she may try.
Well, I might try one. It's legal in Illinois.
Illinois became the 11th state to legalize recreational marijuana at the start of the new year. College football bowl action. Oregon edges Wisconsin. In the Rose Bowl, Minnesota topped Auburn. In the Outback, Alabama over Michigan. And Georgia ran by Baylor in the Sugar. Bulls welcome the Jazz tonight to the UC. Blackhawks start the new year on the road visiting Vancouver. Fighting Illini start 2020 on the road tonight in Big Ten basketball against number 16, Michigan State. The news is a service of Staples. Staples has organizational supplies for the new year at great prices. This week, a case of True Red printer paper is $29.99, $30 savings. Save on office essentials at Staples. There's a whole lot more in store. In store only on SKU 513096. Ends 1420. Staples. 7:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity sees a robust economy.
You can't contradict that these are the best numbers of our lives.
So it was Jim Cramer. And he said, no matter what you think of the president, there's no denying we are living in the best labor market in more than a generation. Well, we already know that. We've never had a better employment situation in the country than we do now.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Attention men and women, if you're one of the millions that suffer from discomfort with your knee, back, or shoulder, and it's becoming harder to enjoy simple things like working out or just going for a walk, please listen carefully. My name is Donna Taylor, founder of CBD Labs. And here's my story. I was suffering with so much physical discomfort that I had to do something about it. With CBD products popping up everywhere, how do you know which product to use? I was determined to create the most powerful CBD product available from the hemp plant that contains no THC. And we did. CBD Labs is the highest concentrate full-spectrum CBD tested in FDA labs. It goes to work in just minutes, and we guarantee it. Call now and find out how to get a free bottle of CBD Labs and get our ebook on everything and anything CBD as your free gift.
To get your free bottle of CBD Labs, call 800-490-7843. That's 800-490-7843. Free bottles for a limited time. Call now, 800-490-7843. 800-490-7843.
If you are a police officer or firefighter retiring this year, please listen carefully. This message is for you. You have unique retirement challenges unlike any other occupation, thus requiring more complex solutions. Marty Gahn has been the trusted financial advisor to police and fire retirees for over 20 years. As a certified financial planner and retired firefighter, Marty has the experience and expertise to help you maintain a quality lifestyle during this next chapter. Do you want straightforward answers to questions regarding your retirement picture? If so, contact Marty at Gahn Capital Management today. The decisions you make today will affect the quality of your retirement over the next 20 to 30 years. If you're a retired police or fire professional, contact Marty today to schedule a complimentary consultation. Call 773-467-0000 or visit retirementfortheblue.com. Securities and advisory services offered through Commonwealth Financial Network. Member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor.
It's the year-end sale at Mattress Firm. Shop now and save up to $600 when you get a king bed for the price of a queen, or a queen for the price of a twin. Plus, get a free adjustable base when you spend just $4.99.
7:07 in the AM 560 Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
In Hanover Park, Lake Street is closed eastbound at North Avenue in Hanover Park due to a crash. Eden's Expressway looks good right now. No delays to report of Kennedy or the Eisenhower. Mount Stevenson, traffic gets sluggish from Ashland to the Rhine. It's 35 minutes from 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 5 to 34. Inbound Ryan, traffic's heavy 95th to 83rd. The crash in the center lane. It's 20 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57 at Bishop Ford looked okay, but expect some congestion approaching the Verge with that crash at 83rd Street. Tollway traffic's pretty light. Northbound Tri-State ramp to the outbound Eisenhower is a little congested. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. From our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center, here's our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Today, increasing cloudiness and the high at 46. It'll be cloudy tonight and tomorrow. Low tonight 32, high tomorrow 38. A snow shower Saturday morning, otherwise a cloudy day, the high at 34. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently 36 degrees. Your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Cause they got the campus beat, yeah, the campus beat.
Yeah, survey talked about earlier in the week, and we're going to talk about again. Released by the D.C.-based Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation. That's a
mouthful.
Well, it's an important organization. Find out how important momentarily. YouGov is the polling outfit they use to ask millennials, age 23 to 38, about their views on capitalism, socialism, communism. 36% of millennials survey say that they approve of communism, which is up by about 30% over just last year. More than 1 in 3 millennials say they approve of communism. 70% say they'd be likely to vote for a socialist candidate for president.
Yeah, because no one wants to pay for college.
Marion Smith, the executive director of the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation, said the historical amnesia about the dangers of communism and socialism is on full display in this year's report. Well, the amnesia, though, isn't necessarily among the millennials, because to forget something, you had to know something in the first place. And the question is, do they even know 20th century history? Probably not. Not very well. The socialist candidates for president clearly don't, or they're trying to gaslight history. They're trying to reinvent it day one in present. Why might this be happening? Why the spike? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but I think some of them are contained in this most excellent statement from a University of California at Los Angeles. That's UCLA to you.
Right, I got it.
Law professor Stephen Bainbridge. He posted, I'm up for merit raise at UCLA Law this year, and I'm now required to submit a statement of how I contribute to the university's goals in diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Oh, my God.
So he authored a statement
Mm-hmm.
for consideration as they contemplate his raise, in which he writes, I have long been particularly concerned with the lack of intellectual diversity at the law school. The groups that account for most of the underrepresentation among racial, gender, religious, and ideological groups in law are Republicans, both male and female, Protestants and Catholics. He points out study of various university faculty show that at Cornell, the ratio of liberal to conservative faculty is 166 to 6. Stanford, 151 to 17. UCLA, 141 to 9.
Ouch.
He also looked at the contributions of UCLA law professors. 38 contributed solely to Democrat candidates, 3 exclusively to Republicans. 93% of all contributions from UCLA law professors went to Democrats and affiliated groups. So
That's not surprising.
Well, no, it's not surprising, but it's instructive. And so how did I contribute to diversity, inclusion, and equity? Writes Professor Bainbridge. I've made particular efforts to reach out and support conservative students. I've served as mentor for the leaders of the Federalist Society and Christian Law Students Association. I've given talks to both organizations. I taught a Perspectives on Law and Lawyering seminar devoted to Catholic social thought and the law, and so on and so forth. That's how he contributed. Interesting reaction he's getting in the academic community. Jeffrey Flyer, he's the dean at Harvard Medical School. As dean of a major academic institution, I could not have said this, referring to Bainbridge's statement, but I will now. Requiring such statements and applications for appointments and promotions is an affront to academic freedom and diminishes the true value of diversity, equity of inclusion by trivializing it. So perhaps the worm is turning, or at least the conversation is expanding such that the generation following millennials that's in college now may get a broader understanding of American history than the millennials, a third of whom think communism is a good idea. For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by a woman who started an organization to do some of what Stephen Bainbridge is doing at UCLA, but across the country. She is Morgan Zegers. She is the founder of Young Americans Against Socialism. Morgan, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This is a very important topic, so I'm glad to see you guys are covering it.
So you heard us talk about the survey. I'm sure you saw it, and what's your reaction and explanation, perhaps including and maybe in addition to what Professor Bainbridge over at UCLA Law pointed out?
Well, from the perspective of Young Americans Against Socialism, our nonprofit, we believe there is a very false narrative being created, and it comes from an equation. There's not just one reason. First of all, our generation is very ignorant, and that's not in a bad way. That's not an insult. I just mean by that we were not properly educated in the classroom about what socialism specifically is, what communism is, and what's the difference between that and just a bad dictatorship. I think in the classroom when we learned about Stalin, when we learned about Castro, Mao Zedong, we weren't really taught those guys were socialists and communists that promised really great free things and a really great utopian society, and the result ended up in starvation and death and camps and absolute devastation of the people.
Well, don't you
Instead,
think the
we're just
millennials
taught they were very bad people?
Yeah, but the millennials today, can't they see what's going on in Venezuela? Why are they ignorant to that?
That's the second problem is on top of that ignorance, there is some very good intentions out there in my generation. We really care about people. And the far left, this is our real enemy here. The far left leaders and politicians are telling my generation, if you adopt our socialist policies, we will end up like Nordic Europe. They're saying capitalism is bad. We need socialism. But if we do, we won't end up like Venezuela. That's not socialism that we're talking about. We'll end up like Nordic Europe. And that's what we're trying to dispel here, because when Bernie Sanders says, like he did on October 27th this year, we need to seize the means of production of the utilities industries in this country to fight climate change, That is socialism. That will make us like Venezuela. Our generation sees that and thinks it's going to make us like Denmark, which has a free market economy.
Well, right, and I'm glad you brought up the whole climate change and the apocalyptic rhetoric around that, because it seems to me that's the hook into millennials that the left is using most pronouncedly.
Absolutely.
Right,
And you guys touched on
current.
it both. First of all, so when there's three tactics that I've noticed throughout history socialists use to come to power, communists as well. First of all, they have to control the narrative, control the rhetoric, and they really are doing that well by convincing people that socialism will make us like Denmark and Nordic Europe, that freedom isn't freedom from an oppressive government. Instead, it's freedom from the responsibility of paying for things that you don't necessarily want to pay for. The second is creating a desire for wealth redistribution. And the far left has done that in my generation by saying, you see those evil rich people on Wall Street that have all that money? We're going to take it from them and give it to you to pay off your student loans, because it's not fair that you have to pay so much, that you're in so much debt. We're going to tax the rich and we're going to give it to you. That creates that sense of they have something that I don't have. I'm going to use government force to take it. Boom. They've done it successfully. The third and final one is to create a sense of fear and urgency. And that's exactly what they're doing with climate change. So you guys touched on both of those topics. When you say the world's going to end in 12 years and the only solution to such a big problem is a big bill like the Green New Deal, which AOC's chief of staff admitted started as a socialist reconstruction of the U.S. economy, and then later on, after it was written, they turned it into something about climate change, that's incredibly concerning. Because our generation thinks the world is ending in 12 years and that the evil Republicans and conservatives don't care about the planet and capitalism is killing us. It's no wonder that 38% support communism now and that 70% would vote for a socialist.
Well, here's the thing, though, too. I mean, it's frustrating, and it's good that you founded this organization, because it's never been easier to disseminate information. And certainly that would include.
But it has to come in like 3 or 4 second blips.
Well, but
because then the kids just move on.
But I mean, this isn't too dense. I mean, for example, on climate change, 1990, the Washington Post front page story: carbon dioxide is the gas most responsible for the predictions Earth will warm on an average by about 3 degrees Fahrenheit by the year 2020. Other outlets, including and scientists, said could warm by as much as 6 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, the data is in, and over 30 years, the United States, the Earth has, and both the Earth and the United States have warmed by approximately 1 degree, so off by a factor of 3 to 6, which is a pretty big margin to be off. And you would think that that would spark some reconsideration of those predicting end times. But it seems to me that this information just doesn't get to a lot of the people that think communism is a good idea and the world's going to end in 12 years.
Absolutely. And two things on that. First of all, there's a lot of people that say our generation could be the most freedom-loving and the most conservative generation out there because we have the world at our fingertips. We could go on Google and find any information that we want, and the history, the facts are on our side. So it matters that there's educational content and information on the web that is going to show the truth and is not going to have that false socialist narrative being pushed by the far left in this country. The second thing is, the first tactic that I talked about earlier, the controlling the narrative, when you think of the messaging of conservatives versus the left, I see a video from Bernie Sanders online, and I kid you not, it says, "Am I really free if I have student loan debt? Am I really free if I have high health care costs? Am I really free if I only work my dead-end job just to get health care insurance?" And the video says, no, you're not free. Freedom comes from economic freedom, and economic freedom comes from the Medicare for all and student loan forgiveness and free college and the Green New Deal, XYZ. So the left uses very basic and powerful language to even tell our generation, you're not even free in America. And then the right, we're over here saying we're going to repeal and replace Obamacare for over a decade now, and we're going to talk about the markets, and we're going to talk about capitalism. It's not emotional. It's not powerful the way we talk about things. And if the right is better at messaging and provides more realistic solutions to show that we care about the issues our generation cares about, I think we would be more successful. But unfortunately, for the last few years, the right has left a vacuum, a massive hole. When we didn't talk about environmental issues, we didn't talk much about the student loan crisis, we don't talk much about healthcare, or at least provide solutions for the failed Obamacare. And so when we left that vacuum, the far left swooped right in and filled that void with very radical legislation.
Yeah, but
and
it's
at
almost
least
as if they're
to our generation,
brainwashing
that
them.
seemed like they cared.
Well, I feel as if they're brainwashing them, though. I mean, is a mother
course.
sitting back?
They're
and
not. They're not
watching all of this?
brainwashing them. They're heart washing them. You never get to
doesn't
the.
want-
You never get to the brain. There's my Christmas the homily at the Christmas mass I attended. The priest had a good line that I'm going to steal and make my own.
Okay.
He basically said
There's some attribution there,
Is
Morgan,
it
just
this?
a little bit.
Yeah, right. The longest trip in the world is the 18 inches between your head and your heart. Now he was talking. He was talking about it from going from your head to your heart. I'm talking about it. It's a round trip, so that's really the longest trip in the world. Your head to your heart and your heart back to your head. And what the left has done a good job of is having people volunteer to disconnect the head and the heart.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do a lot of college speeches, and I was at NYU a couple of weeks ago, and I kid you not, probably half the crowd was from the left, and they came and they sat down and they had these smirks on their faces. And it was very recent after the Victims of Communism poll came out, and so I decided to ask the audience some questions. And if you looked more into the Victims of Communism poll, there's a statistic that said 43% of young people believe the Communist Manifesto better guarantees freedom and equality more so than the Declaration of Independence.
Mm-hmm.
And it says 1 in 5 young Americans believe that we would be better off if private property were abolished. And I asked those questions, and people in the crowd raised their hands. They supported the Communist Manifesto over the Declaration of Independence, and they supported Karl Marx. They were true socialists and communists. And it really it breaks my heart because I don't know if they understand what they're asking for. I believe a majority don't. I think, like I said with the narrative, I think the left is lying to them about what socialism actually is. Nobody, not 70% of people my age would actually want to seize the means of production and have government-controlled industries, and that's what socialism is. But unfortunately, 70% would vote for a socialist. But it's scary to me to wonder how many of those kids in that classroom understood what happened under Stalin, Mao Zedong, Cuba, Castro, and still want to say we need communism in the United States.
Yeah, see,
That's spooky.
they're not socialists and they're not communists. They're sentimentalists, and that's the real problem. We talk too much about them having a philosophy or abiding the Communist Manifesto as if they're actually They actually have a philosophy, an economic or political philosophy. They don't. They're sentimentalists, and that's what Flannery O'Connor famously said: "Sentimentality leads to the gas chamber." And this is what she's talking about, what you're describing. So continue
Absolutely.
the great.
And Bernie
I'm
Sanders,
sorry.
I have a feeling these guys, it's just a matter of catching them saying it. I think they have some very interesting thoughts in the private, but they aren't saying it publicly. I wouldn't put it past them. I'm very concerned at the violence of the left. I'm concerned that they do believe that the end justifies the means. That's a classic socialist term. And I'm not saying it's the young people in this, but I'm saying we need to understand who the enemy is here, and it's the far left movement, the leaders at the top, who truly believe in socialism and are using my generation as useful idiots.
Well, Comrade Bernie, definitely a red. You're right about that. Morgan Zegers, founder of Young Americans Against Socialism. Morgan, thanks so much for joining us. Continue your good work. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure, and she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
In 2019, Illinois became the abortion capital of the Midwest. But what are you going to do about it? Join thousands at the largest pro-life event in the Midwest, Saturday, January 11th at the March for Life Chicago. Hear from keynote speaker and abortion survivor Claire Caldwell, the Chicago Bears' Pat McCaskey, Cardinal Supich, and many other pro-life leaders. Check out new and expanded events all day, including the convention at the Congress Plaza Hotel, a youth rally, the March for Life rally and March at Daly Plaza, a dinner banquet, even swing dancing into the night. Purchase your tickets to the banquet and cocktail hour, sign up for a free fast pass to the convention, and find out more at marchforlifechicago.org. The 2020 March for Life Chicago theme is Life Empowers. Pro-life is pro-woman. The voiceless need a voice. March for babies, march for women, march for life. Visit marchforlifechicago.org today. That's marchforlifechicago.org.
Balance of nature. Changing the world, one life at a time. this is better than I expected. You guys, your customer service and everything, you guys are great. Yeah, you're the best company out there. And the commercials, you know, they talk about it, but a lot of times it's like, I don't know if it really gives it true justice of what this really is. People need to know. This is maybe the most amazing product I've ever tried. You can just feel the energy. It's so pure. It tastes so good. I'm just blown away by it. It's amazing.
See how getting a variety of over 10 servings of whole fruits and vegetables every day can make a difference for you this year. To help you start your New Year's resolutions right, Balance of Nature is offering 35% off and free shipping on your first preferred order of Balance of Nature. This New Year's special won't last, so call in now. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code Chicago.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Rick Blavelone, second-generation owner and CEO of Marketing Innovators and a customer of Signature Bank. Our family-run company was founded on the belief that connecting to people on a human level is the best way to build a great business. And when we were looking for a new bank, we didn't have to look far. We shared an office building with Signature Bank in Rosemont and quickly saw that they were truly locally owned and operated. That's why we partnered with Signature. And that relationship makes every business decision better and every communication clearer. Marketing Innovators looks forward to a long-lasting relationship with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Real travel is life-changing. With Trafalgar, you'll discover the best way to travel and connect with the culture, people, and places you visit. You'll travel with the freedom to discover and the confidence to explore. With over 300 trips on all 7 continents, you get real experiences that you won't find elsewhere. These are just a few of the greatest travel stories you'll ever tell. Save up to 7.5% on trips. Terms and conditions apply. Visit your travel agent or Trafalgar.com. Trafalgar, simply the best.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Limu, when we're not telling people that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need, I've actually been moonlighting as a DJ. Check it! Here's the good part! Liberty, 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 liberty. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
I'm Dan Proft.
And I'm Amy Jacobson.
And we want to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season.
We're talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor Program.
We've partnered with Food for the Poor to feed thousands of families fleeing from the socialist crisis in Venezuela. These families are now in Colombia and are desperate. Food for the Poor is working with local partners at feeding sites to make sure these families survive.
And your business can be a part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. When you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 60-second commercials to air right here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
That's the best advertising deal in all of Chicago. To take advantage of this deal, just call Anjanette Netkowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. One more time, the number 847-472-8951.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, a couple of notable passings in the world of sports. Don Larson, the only pitcher to ever throw a perfect game in the World Series in what year, Amy?
1956.
Wow.
For the Yankees.
That's pretty good.
Oh.
All right, how many career wins?
Those details kind of get in the way. I just remember it's 1956 Yankees because I have Yankee fans in my house.
No, you're right about that. And it's interesting because he wasn't that good a pitcher. He didn't even get
Really?
He didn't have 100 wins in his career. But he had that moment. And
that's all that matters.
And good for him. And then, of course, former NBA Commissioner David Stern, sadly, passing away at the age of 77 after a brain hemorrhage a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, listen to this, from one of the obits, just to put in context what he accomplished for the NBA, even though it is an awful product right now. I mean, it is unwatchable.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be what it was today globally if it wasn't for him.
1985,
Yeah.
Jerry Reinsdorf bought the Chicago Bulls for $16 million.
Oh my God.
Imagine.
That's a steal.
In
Congratulations.
and then he got Jordan, and then the rest is history.
And that's a steal.
In 2014, Steve Ballmer purchased the LA Clippers for $2 billion. That's how much David Stern changed the NBA, changed the economics of the NBA to the benefit of owners and players and vendors and communities alike. And then it was then he left in 2014, and then they put an alien as the commissioner.
Right. That skinny anorexic alien known as Silver. But also, too, you're forgetting one big thing about David Stern's accomplishments.
What's that?
He created the WNBA as well. So kudos to him. Sad to see him go at 77. Why are you laughing about the WNBA?
I'm not. Out of respect for Mike Scott, I'm biting my tongue.
Thank you. And speaking of Mike Scott, let's head into the newsroom. Here he is. Hi, Mike.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. 36 degrees, skies on the cloudy side this morning at 7:31. 2 young children are dead here in Chicago. 2 adults are clinging to life following an incident in Chicago's South Shore neighborhood. Police tell us officers found a woman and a baby early this morning on the ground in front of a apartment building on South Shore Drive. Officers were then directed by security to check an 11th floor apartment. There, they discovered a man with cuts to his face and body and an unresponsive infant. The man claimed that the daughter began stabbing him and then jumped from the 11th floor with her 1-year-old son. 2 babies have been pronounced dead at a nearby hospital, while the man and woman, again, are in critical condition. At 7:32, Taiwan's top military officer and 7 others have been killed in an Air Force helicopter crash being investigated just outside of Taipei. Thousands of tourists are fleeing Australia's wildfire-ravaged eastern coast ahead of worsening conditions as the military begins to evacuate people trapped on the shore further south. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo will not be going to Ukraine because of violence at the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. 3 are dead here in Chicago, several others hurt following a crash on the far south side. It happened along the 1400 block of West 112th. 3 women in a hatchback were killed. 3 others, again, are hospitalized from that crash in stable condition. The investigation continues into the death of a woman after being struck by a CTA Yellow Line train in Evanston. And doctors and nurses around the state say they're seeing a post-holiday flu bump. Number of people have turned up in emergency rooms and clinics with influenza B. Now, doctors say they usually see the big increase in flu cases after the holidays and travel. There is an asteroid that you might be able to see tonight, the size of a bus, zooming past the Earth. NASA says the asteroid, called 2019 AE3, will get within a relatively close 1 million miles of Earth and zip by at about 18,000 miles an hour. Bulls welcome the Jazz tonight to the UC. Blackhawks visiting the Canucks tonight to begin the new year in Canada. The news service of Indeed.com. As a hiring manager, you need to quickly find the best candidates for your open positions. Tools from Indeed will help candidates really show you what they can do. You'll save so much time you can take the scenic route home. Post your next job at Indeed.com/hire today. 7:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The mainstream media wants to divide Americans into neat little groups, and they want you to believe that everyone in each of those groups thinks alike. John Anthony and Charles Love are here to blow up that lie. Join them for Black and Right this Saturday at 1 p.m. when they expose the lies of the media and the hypocrisy of the left and have fun doing it. It's Black and Right this Saturday at 1 p.m. right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Message and data rates may apply. Individual results vary. Exclusions apply.
Contacts and glasses are such a hassle. I'd love to finally get LASIK, but
I'm going to stop you right there. If you want LASIK, then the LASIK Vision Institute has officially taken away everything standing in your way.
Isn't LASIK expensive?
Not at the LASIK Vision Institute. We're offering dramatically low prices, as low as $220 per eye, and an absolutely free consultation. See for free if LASIK is right for you by texting LIKE to 350-350.
But I'm really busy.
A text only takes seconds. The LASIK procedure typically only takes 15 minutes, and most patients can get back to work the following day. The LASIK Vision Institute uses the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology that helps the majority of patients achieve 20/20 vision for as little as $220 per eye. Dr. Greenberg has performed 75,000 laser eye surgeries and is one of the most experienced LASIK surgeons in Chicago.
What's that text again?
Text LIKE to 350350. That's LIKE to 350350 to schedule your free consultation today.
Hi, this is Dan Frio with the Mortgage Update. Is the lack of having enough money in the bank holding you back from buying a home? The state of Illinois is helping first-time home buyers with this issue with a program you can only get through a limited number of lenders that's hand-picked by the state, and I'm one of those preferred lenders. This program is a grant up to $10,000 to help you with your down payment and also cover closing costs. Stop paying your landlord's mortgage and get on the path to buying your own home. Since this is a grant program, funding can run out at any time, so call now and reach out to me personally. Just pick up the phone and call 844-775-LOAN. That's 844-775-LOAN to reach me personally, or visit me on the web at windmortgage.com. That's windmortgage.com.
Parkside Lending, LLC is an Illinois residential mortgage licensee and an equal housing lender. NMLS 176162.
7:37 in the AM 560 traffic center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Metra has a cancellation on the BNSF line. Train 1246 will not operate. 1248 will make all stops to Union Station. Crash reported in Elmhurst this morning on North Avenue at Berto. It's one in Lombard at Roosevelt and Highland. Expressway traffic is picking up a little bit. A crash on the inbound Ryan near 79th Street has cleared now, but we are seeing delays starting on the Bishop Ford Freeway around Cottage Grove. It's 17 minutes from 8094 to the merge. Inbound I-57 as well has some congestion approaching the Rhine, where the delays continue to 79th Street. The Rhine runs about 20 minutes, 95th to downtown. Inbound Stevenson's a bit tight, Pulaski to Kedzie. The other expressways are okay. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. In our 1 hour heating and air conditioning weather center, we see sunshine this morning, turning cloudy by the afternoon, high 46. Considerable cloudiness and 32 overnight, cloudy and 38 tomorrow. Currently fair skies and 37 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. And before we get to this matter of religious liberty and whether or not you fear Democrats, if they were in power, completely in power, like had the White House as well as both chambers, would move on your religious liberty. Do you believe that? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 646-360-DA, turnkey.pro text line. But first, per our last guest, Margot from Burr Ridge would like to comment. Margot, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Oh, hi. Thank you for taking my call. Well, that girl was amazing, and it's good to know that there's a member of that generation that's so erudite and so clear-minded about socialism and communism. But she was saying numbers that were really scary when you think about it. How many young people think that this is good or okay, even, when you think that in pre-communist China, when China turned communist, less than 10% of the people actually were communists, and the rest were irrelevant. In Nazi Germany, same thing. Less than 10% of the people were actually Nazis, the rest irrelevant. Same with Russia. 10% communist or less, but the rest were irrelevant. And look how many died in all those situations, millions. And that is what's really frightening when you think that they're getting violent, and the rest of us are scared. I mean, even here, who's going to tell people that you're a Trump supporter? No one. I had a sticker on my car, and people would come up to me in parking lots saying, "Aren't you afraid to have that?" Yeah, my car got keyed. I mean, those are their tactics, and that's how they keep the rest of us quiet, by their violence. It's really very frightening. Anyway, thanks for taking the call.
Thanks for the call, Margot. Fair points. As a great man once said, history is always changed by the committed few for good or for bad. So decide which side of history you want to be recorded as having stood on.
And that man was?
That man was me.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dan Proft. And you can listen to the Dan Proft Show.
Right.
On the danproftshow.com.
It'd be 3 hours
starting today.
Yeah, 3 hours of me quoting myself.
Yeah.
So that should be fun.
And you have conversations with yourself.
Yeah, well.
Who said that? I did.
Right.
Dan Proft.
Yeah.
The Dan Proft Show.
It's going to be, voices and all kinds of things, including the ones in my head. Speaking of, respecting the rights of those with whom you disagree, this piece in the Washington Post where a professor from Denison University and allegedly a scholar with the Public Religion Research Institute tried to explain why evangelicals and other persons of faith, Christians in particular, fear that Democrats would strip away their rights if they were in power. He references some survey that was done by a political scientist this past spring, interviewing 1,000 U.S. Protestants, finding 60% believe that atheists would not allow them First Amendment rights and liberties if they could. More specifically, the survey asked whether they believed atheists would prevent them from being able to hold rallies, teach, speak freely, run for public office. 60% essentially said they would. He offers explanations, the professor. The first is because that's what they're hearing quite explicitly from conservative media, religious elites, partisan commentators, some politicians, including the president. So it's not actually true. It's just what you're hearing from conservatives, in media, conservatives that have platforms. Yeah. The second is an inverted golden rule, meaning white evangelical Protestants express low levels of tolerance for atheists, which leads them to expect intolerance from atheists, I should say. So, one, it's the only reason you perhaps fear Democrat socialists in power who are anti-Christian and anti-evangelical, perhaps particularly, the only reason you believe that they would infringe upon your religious liberty rights is, one, you've been gaslighted by conservative media, or two, it's actually you projecting your intolerance onto them. Is that right? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Or do you believe that Democrats pick one of the presidential candidates along with Nancy Pelosi and, say, Chuck Schumer, if they were in charge, if that was the troika in charge of our federal government? Do you think that they would move to curtail your religious liberty, your rights of conscience? It's a big question.
What do you think?
Because it will inform
do you think they would?
I mean, I guess I would look to, examples of intolerance. When Di-Fi says to Amy Coney Barrett during her confirmation hearing for the appellate court, federal appellate court, that her faith lives loudly within her, right? Her Catholic faith lives loudly within her, and that was a concern for Di-Fi. When you have the left piling on Jack Phillips, Masterpiece Cake Shop in Colorado, going all the way to the Supreme Court, and after being victorious, still being harassed locally in Denver, Colorado, or in Colorado State, I know.
And had other lawsuits filed, too, against him.
Yeah, so and other examples of florists and photographers that do not want to be forced to participate in a religious or civil ceremony that they just don't support. No,
I know one thing: they'd abolish the Second Amendment.
Well, okay, but
back to the religious liberties, yes.
Yeah, I mean, this was in part the affinity for Trump and Trump's stand for people of faith, even if he is perhaps a dubious person of faith. And it was in part what Senator Jim Langford said over the weekend at Meet the Press, Jim Langford being interviewed along with Chris Coons, talking about how they can work together, bipartisan, blah, blah, blah. The Jim Langford, though, on the president's character, and the importance that faith plays in his life and in his decision-making as United States Senator.
I think there's still this ongoing conversation about policy and about responsible leadership and about role models. I said very early on in the campaign time period, when people asked me in 2016, what are you looking for? I said, well, I always look for a president who can be a role model. I don't think that President Trump as a person is a role model for a lot of different youth. That's just me personally. I don't like the way that he tweets. Some of the things that he says, his word choices at times are not my word choices. He comes across with more New York City swagger than I do from the Midwest, and definitely not the way that I'm raising my kids. Saying that, there are policy areas that we agree on. And when we agree on those things, we work on those things together. But it's also been a grand challenge to be able to say, for a person of faith, for a person who believes that there is a right way to go on things, I wish that he did, and he was more of a role model in those areas. Now, saying all that, on the area of life, where I'm very passionate about of the issues of abortion, for instance, he's been tenaciously pro-life. He's focused on putting people around him that are very, very focused on religious liberty, not honoring a particular faith, but honoring any person of any faith to go be able to live and practice that faith and to have respect for that. That's helpful for any person of faith, to be able to say, give me the space to be able to live my faith and to be able to put people into the administration that will also allow that and encourage that. So for people of faith, it's a bit of a conundrum at times. That I look at some of the moral decisions that he's made and go, I disagree with that. But he's also been very, very protective of areas like life and very protective of areas of religious liberty to be able to allow people to be able to live their faith out.
What a measured, intelligent response.
Yeah.
To the question.
And I'm sure that there are many Christians that do feel it's a bit of a conundrum from time to time, depending on what the president is saying.
Well, we're all broken. We all make mistakes.
But also, what has he done in advance of religious liberty? That's the measure, right? Politicians are means to policy ends. That's it. You don't have to fall in love with them. You don't have to say, this is who you should grow up to be like, son or daughter.
Chuck Barley, I don't want to be a role model.
Right. Or
some sports figures shouldn't be a role model.
Or you say, these are the aspects of the president that you should try to emulate, and these are some aspects that you shouldn't. I mean, you can pick and choose because everybody has flaws, some more pronounced than others, of course. But I think Langford is right. And I also think Langford, without saying it, is basically conceding the point that to those on the left, their rhetoric notwithstanding about tolerance, have very little tolerance for people of faith, particularly evangelical Christians and Christians generally. Very little tolerance. Frankly, there's a lot on the left that have very little tolerance for Jewish people, too. Please see The Squad. And you see what that hateful rhetoric is in part spawning in places like New York City and New York State. And I'm not saying the rhetoric is directly responsible, but it just in terms of thinking, watching and listening to what they say, and then trying to ask yourself, well, gosh, if they were, again, in charge and they could make laws without any resistance, any hurdles, would they respect my faith and the way that I live my faith?
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
This story out of London is interesting. England and Wales have marked a new era in which heterosexual couples can choose to have a civil partnership instead of a marriage. The change, mandated by Britain's Supreme Court, took effect right before the first of the year. It was a groundbreaking case brought by a guy and a woman who didn't want any sort of religious connotation to their partnership because, marriage is patriarchal and religious. Yeah. They wanted it to be completely secular. So, I mean, think about what's happened in the last 10 years as we're, marking the end of the decade. Think about what's happened in the last 10 years. We went from all the postmodern left want is civil unions for gay people. They don't want to redefine marriage.
Right.
to the redefinition of marriage, and now to the redefinition of civil unions. Talk about coming full circle. Civil unions were sold as a way to protect marriage, and now will instead replace marriage. You see what they've done over a decade, which people like me were telling you they were doing, as many Republicans were folding because they didn't want to be seen as bigoted or be accused of being bigoted. There's nothing bigoted about it. You chip away at the institution until there's nothing left, meaning marriage. And thank goodness, right? Because it's a bigoted Christian patriarchal institution. And then you chip away at God's presence in civil society until there's no mention. So now everybody's going to be civilly unioned. Deborah in Arlington Heights, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. Yeah, it boils down to two words, forced acceptance. And I find it really ironic that the people that are supposed to be practicing diversity and inclusion and tolerance say that somebody that has a different belief system, they label them as intolerant, when that couldn't be anything further from the truth, according to what they're trying to say about having tolerance for other people and their beliefs. That's why you have things like Masterpiece Cake Shop and forcing people, instead of just going somewhere else to have your cake baked, you're going to force those people
That's right.
to go onto your terms.
That's
and so the whole thing is hypocritical.
Thanks for the call, Deborah. Right. Tolerance equals acceptance equals celebration. They're synonyms. They're synonyms in Newspeak. So think about cultural institutions that are lorded over by the left, which is most of them, starting on the college campus. Is that a place of tolerance? Is that a place where you feel like religious liberty and people of faith are respected? Think about the art community. Think about Hollywood. Is that a place where people are considerate of one another? Or if you don't hew the orthodoxy, you're targeted for professional elimination or a long 4 years on a college campus? Steve in Oswego, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I'm a born-again Christian, and I want to say that I definitely see the hostility coming from the Democrat Party. They want to defund churches that don't sign on to the LGBTQ plus agenda. That's one way, the first way of silencing us. But also, it's very clear that there is an anti-Semitism problem within the Democrat Party. It begins with anti-Semitism, then it goes to Christianity. Anybody who doesn't understand that needs to look at Nazi Germany. And I also want to remind people that the last time the Democrats held both houses and the White House, they used it to declare war on the Sisters of the Poor through Obamacare.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what they have in store for us next time.
Great point. Thanks for the call, Steve. Little Sisters of the Poor. Yeah, if there's one thing that we've got to rectify, it's nuns taking care of senior citizens, providing
nowhere else to go.
contraception.
Right. I know. Because it's not needed, and it's not needed, if you know what I mean.
Well, for employees, right?
Right,
That's
yeah, I
the
know.
mandate. But I mean, so
attack one of the most giving organizations in the country, I think.
the federal government goes after Little Sisters of the Poor, but you're paranoid if you think they're going to go after people of faith if they're in charge. Try to square that circle. Ken in Aurora.
Yes, sir. I think the last caller just made my point. Beto O'Rourke, is on record talking about taking a nonprofit status away from people from organizations that don't support, pro-abortion and LGBT issues.
Another
That's why
good
he's
example.
not in the race anymore.
Another good example, though. I mean, but this is like this op-ed I was referencing in the Washington Post by this Denison professor. White evangelicals fear atheists and Democrats would strip away their rights. Why? ? Talk about a Fox Butterfield moment. Why? Because they would. That's why. I mean, it's self-evident.
Well, conform or die.
Matt in Champaign.
Hey, good morning. I think I view the left's view of religious liberties as you can believe what you want as long as you don't practice it or do anything to in public. Believe it in your house and then don't practice it out in public.
Right. Thanks for the call, Matt. Or you can practice it in the way that a mannequin Pete, that red diaper baby mannequin running for president, practices it, which is to redefine Scripture to make it conform with leftist orthodoxy. Randall in Northwest Indiana. Hey, Randall.
Yes.
You're on. Randall, go
Hey,
ahead.
yes.
Yeah, you're on. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. I was going to say, I'm a Christian, and I've been a Christian for years. My dad, who's a proclaimed atheist, but he is a conservative, has seen years back when Obama was, me and him had talked about it. I could see how the mainstream media and the left is on a war for Christianity. And that was his terms. There's a war against the Christianity, and he's an atheist, and he can see it.
Thanks for the call, Randall. Dave in Ravenswood.
Hello. Yes, I fear that the left, if in power, would definitely take moves to make us free from religion, making us a more intolerant society. I mean, if Hallmark movies are fascism, which was a recent story, then I can only imagine anything else that creates unity and happiness must be a threat to the left, from my opinion.
Another good example. Thanks, Dave.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, it's Amy Jacobson, and I have an exclusive offer for our listeners just in time for the holidays. If you buy a set of Giza cotton sheets from MyPillow, you'll get a second set free, 2 for 1. Not only that, but you'll get free shipping. If you add anything else to your order, like MyPillows, mattress toppers, towels, anything, those items will ship free too. And you can get deep discounts on all MyPillow products, but you have to use the promo code AMY. I love MyPillow. I can't sleep without it. And I just started sleeping with my brand new Giza cotton sheets, and I'm sleeping so much better. All products have a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. So go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener special box, and get 2 sets of Giza cotton sheets for the price of 1, plus free shipping on your entire order. That's MyPillow.com. Click the radio specials box and enter the promo code AMY. Or call 800-489-0201. MyPillow.com, promo code AMY.
Is this your situation? Cellular or data services are bad inside your building or vehicle? People notice. People complain. This is Kelly Piles. My company is PC Net Services. We can fix that annoying problem. Resolving this is not as complicated or as expensive as you might think, but it does make a difference. I have worked with the largest cellular providers in the nation. We could improve your cellular and data signal inside your building with all major carriers. No more dropped calls, no more complaints. First responders, government agencies, and business owners have used us to get a better signal inside their building. We can do the same for you. PC Net Services, a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business connecting you to the world.
Get better cell service in your building, no matter which carrier. For a free analysis, call PC Net Services, 815-545-4439. 815-545-4439.
AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk impeachment trial and POTUS politics with HotAir.com editor Jazz Shaw at 8:08.
And later, guess what Peyton and Eli got me for Christmas? Take a guess.
Coal?
Oh, worse than that.
Other fossil fuels, liquid nitrogen?
How did you know?
Oh,
we began fracking in our backyard, and we have an alpaca farm.
Don't tell me they got you a Peloton.
Well, you'll have to wait. Get the answer later, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Skies are sunny to begin your day. 2 babies have been killed, 2 adults critically hurt as police investigate that incident on the South Shore. 3 are killed, 4 hurt in a far south side crash, and Blago writes an op-ed in support of Donald Trump. Bulls host the Jazz later on tonight. Fighting Illini are at Michigan State in the Big Ten this evening. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Feeling the burn is money in the bank. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Bernie Sanders raised a lot more money in the last quarter of last year, $34.5 million. Nearly $10 million more than he raised over the summer, and nearly $10 million more than Pete Buttigieg, the now former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, brought in the final 2019 quarter. Like Sanders, Andrew Yang also had a fundraising surge, raking in $16.5 million.
I have one big New Year's resolution, and that is to become the president-elect of the United States of America.
We're still waiting for Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren's totals, but a month and a day before the first contest, the Iowa caucuses, each Democratic candidate is still being far outraised by President Trump. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
$46 million was raised by the Trump campaign in the last quarter of 2019, perhaps fueled by the impeachment vote in the Democratic-led House in mid-December. The Trump campaign ended the year with nearly $103 million cash on hand. Trump campaign manager Brad Parscale said in a statement, the president's war chest and grassroots army make his re-election campaign an unstoppable juggernaut. Dave?
And John, it's quiet outside the U.S. Embassy in Iraq, where for 2 days, Iran-backed militants protested, setting fires, doing damage until they were repelled by U.S. forces and retreated. Republican Congressman Michael Waltz told Fox this morning,
we need to hold Iran directly accountable, whether that's through cyber or through sanctions or through even more direct means. But Iran will not back down until, it's like a bully. Until it's faced with force, it'll continue to do this.
Some Democrats blame President Trump for the unrest, critical of his policies toward Iran and Iraq. Nick Gordon has died, though his attorney isn't saying how or where. Gordon's infamous for being found liable in the death of his ex-girlfriend, Bobby Christina Brown, in a bathtub 5 years ago. She was the daughter of singers Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown. Though he wasn't charged, Gordon was found responsible in a wrongful death lawsuit. America's listening to Fox News.
36 degrees, mostly fair skies at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 2 young children are dead. 2 adults fighting for their lives after an incident this morning in Chicago's South Shore neighborhood. Police say officers found a woman and a baby early this morning on the ground in front of an apartment building in the 7200 block of South Shore Drive. Officers were then directed by security to check an 11th floor apartment. There they discovered a man with cuts to his face and body and an unresponsive infant in a bathtub. Man claims his daughter began stabbing him and then jumped from the 11th floor with her 1-year-old son. 3 are dead, several others hurt following a crash on Chicago's far south side. It happened as a hatchback ran a red light and collided with an SUV in the 1400 block of West 112th. Governor J.B. Pritzker's administration is trying to investigate another case of Legionnaire's disease at the Veterans Home in Quincy, the site of 13 deaths from the malady, starting with a 2015 outbreak. Minimum wage workers in Illinois just got a raise. Minimum wage in the state jumping from $8.25 to $9.25 on New Year's Day. Disgraced former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich speaking out in support of President Trump. In an op-ed published by Newsmax, Blagojevich argued that the current House Democrats who have impeached the president would have also tried to impeach Abraham Lincoln because he didn't ask Congress for permission to end slavery. Bulls welcome the Jazz to the United Center tonight. Blackhawks visiting Vancouver to ring in the new year. 8:03, it's time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for all of your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Deirdre Bolton, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stock futures are higher this morning. European stocks started the year with a rally on optimism about the U.S.-China trade deal and after China's central bank offered a stimulus to its economy by requiring its banks to have less money in reserve. It is National Returns Day, when everybody sends back all their unwanted gifts. United Parcel Service expects record returns today, 1.9 million. Amazon had offered one free return for the holiday season on millions of items. Retail analyst Hitha Herzog.
If you think about how people are spending, especially the younger generations, it's all online.
Ryder, the truck rental company, is partnering with InCharge Energy. It will provide electric vehicle charging for Ryder customers. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
Do you own or run a thriving business in the Chicagoland area? Have you overcome obstacles to make your business what it is today? If that's your business, then AM 560 The Answer wants to tell your story on the AM 560 Business Tour 2020, presented by Signature Bank. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson will be broadcasting live from businesses all around Chicagoland, telling the stories of thriving, successful businesses. If that's you, tell us about it. Go to bankbusinesstour.com and submit your information. That's bankbusinesstour.com.
Hi, this is Dan Frio with the Mortgage Update. Daily you hear guys on the radio going back and forth about how they're better than the other guy, and then you hear how their team can help you buy or refinance a home. But answer this, are they a direct lender who has the ability to approve, underwrite, and close your loan? I am. Are they a middleman who's at the mercy of another company? I'm not. When you call, do you speak with the person who's telling you how great they are? Or are you talking to a salesperson? Not me. You work with me personally. And last, I put my money where my mouth is. I offer an exclusive rate match program for those times when I don't have the best rate. So to work with me personally, call 844-775-LOAN. That's 844-775-LOAN, or find me on the web at windmortgage.com. That's windmortgage.com.
Parkside Lending, LLC is an Illinois residential mortgage licensee and an equal housing lender. NMLS 176162.
Attention men and women, if you're one of the millions that suffer from discomfort with your knee, back, or shoulder, and it's becoming harder to enjoy simple things like working out or just going for a walk, please listen carefully. My name is Donna Taylor, founder of CBD Labs. And here's my story. I was suffering with so much physical discomfort that I had to do something about it. With CBD products popping up everywhere, how do you know which product to use? I was determined to create the most powerful CBD product available from the hemp plant that contains no THC. And we did. CBD Labs is the highest concentrate full-spectrum CBD tested in FDA labs. It goes to work in just minutes, and we guarantee it. Call now and find out how to get a free bottle of CBD Labs and get our ebook on everything and anything CBD as your free gift.
To get your free bottle of CBD Labs, call 800-490-7843. That's 800-490-7843. Free bottles for a limited time. Call now, 800-490-7843, 800-490-7843.
8:07 in our AM 560 traffic center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
In Orland Park, there's a rollover crash at 159th and Wolf Road. On the Kennedy Expressway, we're seeing some congestion. Inbound Division to Ogden, outbound Bryn Mawr to Harlem. It's 21 minutes either way between O'Hare and downtown. Edens is clear. And on Eisenhower, at the bottom of the exit ramp to North Avenue, there's a crash. There's scattered delays starting at 1st Avenue, 33 minutes, 390 to downtown, outbound fine at 29. Inbound Stevenson, 37 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 34. To Ryan, 21 minutes, 95 to downtown. I-57, Bishop Ford, looking good. Tollways are pretty light, no problems. Report in Northwest Indiana. The 2nd of January, that's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Some sun, but then turning cloudy today. The high at 46. Clouds tonight and tomorrow. Low tonight 32. High tomorrow 38. A snow shower on Saturday morning. Otherwise a cloudy day. The high Saturday 34. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
With the sun out, we bumped up to 37 at O'Hare. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, and your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, and that little yapping terrier who hosts Meet the Press, Chuck Todd.
I like the analogy.
Isn't it? Doesn't he strike you that way? Yeah.
The Yorkie.
He is super insulting, and to wit, this letter to the editor he read on Sunday's Meet the Press from January from some guy who wrote a letter to the editor to a Lexington, Kentucky paper that described Trump voters as basically cranks. If the letter, that Chuck Todd read this on air. If you find somebody who believes in Noah's Ark, then you have a Trump voter. denigrating Christians. And then again, Chuck Todd just scratching his head.
Chuck Todd.
These guys inside the belt just scratching their head at how Trump continues to win and continues to really be buoyed by impeachment, not taken down. Nonetheless, Chuck Todd previewing 2020 for us said this.
It is a strategy that depends on a middle of the electorate overlooking the president's personal character and somehow getting him to re-election. I think it's a very uphill battle for him.
Uphill battle for a Trump re-election. That runs in the face right now of polling in swing states. Well, not really even a swing state anymore, really a blue state. Used to be a swing state, Virginia, which has Trump up.
It's unbelievable.
The Mason-Dixon poll, plus 12 Democrat respondents to Republicans because it's a Democrat state. He's up on three of the four major contenders for the nomination: Biden, Warren, Bernie, and Pete. He's up on all but Joe Biden, and he's only 2 points down to Biden, which is a statistical dead heat in Virginia. So, I mean, a lot can happen between now and November, of course, but it's sort of remarkable where Trump is, given that he's president, supposedly with the cloud of impeachment hanging over him. For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by our friend Jazz Shaw, weekend editor at hotair.com. Jazz, Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us.
Happy New Year to both of you. Thanks for inviting me. Before we get any further, though, I would like to voice a small objection. I think that was a rather unfair comparison you just made a little while ago.
Unfair to a
sister
terrier.
Has several Yorkshire Terriers.
Yeah.
And they're lovely, nice dogs.
Yeah, right. And
Little purse dogs.
And they probably don't have those sort of unsightly goatees either.
Exactly.
So what about Chuck Todd's prediction? Do you think that Trump is facing uphill right now, or is it the Democrats that are looking at an incline?
Oh, God. I keep going back and forth on this. I mean, I watch the polls. One day they're up, one day they're down. They bounce back and forth. The president's approval rating really doesn't change all that much from news cycle to news cycle. And when he loses ground, they talk about it. When he gains it back, people don't mention it. The ones I've been watching are the polls in the swing states. He's doing pretty darn well, even against Biden in most of them, and he's just mopping the floor with someone like Buttigieg and Warren, you know. So if he's facing an uphill battle, there have been much worse uphill battles faced before. There's no guarantee he's going to win.
No,
He'll probably lose the popular vote. But I think his chances of winning a second term at this point are actually pretty good.
Well, we had the Iowa caucuses 32 days away from today. And who do you see as the Democratic contender? Because now Bernie Sanders is leading with fundraising right now, right? With $34.5 million.
Oh yeah, he had a record-setting quarter for this cycle, which is great for Bernie, I guess. I would dearly love to see Bernie be the nominee, but I don't honestly see it happening unless there's a major shift or the polls are really getting it wrong. I think there's a pretty good chance that former Mayor Pete Buttigieg comes out of Iowa with a win. If he doesn't, a really impressive close second place. I don't know if that is going to do anything to build momentum. He's doing pretty well in New Hampshire, too, but after that, the landscape looks pretty bad for him.
Well, and this breaking news just came over the transom.
What?
The Democrat field for President of the United States just got whiter. Julian Castro dropping out of the presidential race. Yeah, I'm sorry.
And I can't go on.
Now they're without a Bond villain impersonator.
Oh.
So Castro's by the boards too. Oh, I mean, most people probably forgot he was still in the race, as is the case with so many candidates. But the Biden thing, I have said from the outset that Biden is actually the weakest candidate that they could nominate, and I know that doesn't look like it right now, but I think. One, polls are snapshots in time. And secondly, it's a bit of a sugar high just because he has some stickiness with a core constituency in the Democrat Party. But I mean, Biden is being pushed. I think he's being pushed. Maybe he's just embracing it. Really beyond, I think, even his comfort level on the left, which usually is pretty high. New Hampshire town hall, parroting Comrade Bernie's line that he would imprison fossil fuel company executives. Those are the kind of statements that make it very difficult to walk back in a general election and be seen as credible.
I don't think his base is going to hold any of those statements against him. In general terms, he gets a lot of benefit for having been Obama's vice president, but I don't know that that translates into the same historic levels of minority turnout that Barack Obama enjoyed and Hillary Clinton did not enjoy. But I think there's one factor that you didn't bring up that's going to be a lot worse. If he becomes the nominee and he is the sole focus of everyone's attention when everyone starts paying attention, and if he has to debate Donald Trump, I have serious concerns about how well Joe Biden is holding on to his marbles, so to speak.
And to deflect this narrative about the fossil fuel executives being imprisoned, he's now saying he might have a GOP running mate. Are you buying any of that, or is that just smoke and mirrors?
That's actually going to hurt him with his base because that's not something anybody wants to hear. And no, there's no way he's going to consider that. He's going to have a Democrat, and he's probably going to have a Democratic woman of color just because that's how the game is played. I will honestly be shocked. Whoever, if it's a white male, any of them gets the nomination if Kamala Harris isn't the VP pick.
What about Hunter as his VP? I mean, because that may be the only. I mean,
Commerce
Hunter,
Secretary for sure.
Well, Hunter is technically, you could technically say he's a fossil fuel company executive.
Oh, that's right.
So being his running mate may be the only way to keep him out of jail.
You know, I never thought about that, but you're right. He is a fossil fuel executive.
Yeah.
Not that he knew anything about energy when he got the job or actually did anything, but technically.
Yeah. Well,
doesn't speak Russian. Probably never, maybe once time in Ukraine.
Where the party is right now, too, their party, because one of the things that it seems that Chuck Todd and so many of the prognosticators inside the Beltway forget is that this is a exercise in moral relativism, voting. So, yeah, so Trump is going to be running against somebody, and whoever that somebody is going to have all sorts of glaring faults as well, and not the record of accomplishment to run on unless Joe Biden can successfully run on whatever Obama's record of accomplishment was. Seems pretty thin and pretty distant at this point. And even Brett Stevens saying this in the New York Times, writing this in the New York Times over the weekend about the intolerance, the censoriousness, the nastiness of the left, whether it's the anti-Semitism coming from the Squad or the anti-Christianity coming from the party writ large. I mean, those sorts of things turn people off as much as a Trump tweet, if not more.
Oh, yeah, they've got their own problems. But like I said, I think it's also going to be a question of competence. Let's all just admit this is a beauty contest for the base on both sides. How much competence the eventual nominee has is not going to play nearly as large of a factor as the hatred of President Trump and the desire to get rid of him, which is going to be a big motivator, for the base. The question is, again, all those people in the middle, those rare undecided voters or persuadable voters, however you want to put it. And I think that if Joe Biden gets up on stage and starts forgetting what state he's in or what years he was vice president or the other things he's been, I mean, Joe was always kind of gaffe prone to the usual, isn't that funny gaffe. This doesn't just look like gaffes anymore. He looks like he's really losing the narrative. And if that shows up when he's on stage, particularly late in the evening, which is, speaking from experience in my family, when people that are starting to, perhaps lose the grip on reality a little bit when things get worse, that's going to have an impact on people. Like, seriously, we're going to make this guy the leader of the free world and give him control of the nukes,
I hear what you're saying. I wonder, too, I mean, this is probably an imponderable at this point, but I talked to a high-ranking Republican legislator last year about, is there any prospect of taking back the House if President Trump wins? And he said, basically, no. I wonder if the opinions are changing because of how the impeachment is playing out and where the economy is currently and where the market is currently associated. I wonder if there is some prospect that Democrats in districts Trump won could be in real trouble, such that the House could flip if he runs against somebody that he's able to dispatch by a comfortable margin.
I think some of them, particularly the freshmen that came in 2018, are going to be in trouble. A great example of that, I would point to New York 22, Anthony Brindisi, who won that seat in a traditionally R+6 district by such a narrow margin. It was 2 weeks before they called the race after the election. It was one of the last ones called. And he avoided, like the plague, saying anything about what he was going to do on impeachment until about 2 days before, when he said he had decided and he was going to vote for impeachment. And, oh, man, he's tanking up here right now. So that's one. I don't know if there are enough of them to actually flip the House. They've got a pretty wide margin. I would say it's not at all impossible that they're going to lose a good piece of that. It will be a lot closer, but, man, the cards would all have to fall our way to actually get the majority back.
Well, it may happen over 2 cycles, if not in 20, because those blue states after the 2020 census are going to be losing congressional seats, like here in Illinois, where we are. Also, like New York.
Yeah, poor AOC.
Yeah, and Frank Luntz tweeting out that New York, which is expected to lose a congressional seat after the census, state Democrats looking to draw out AOC's district. Oh, no, is she going to have to go back to being a barmaid?
It would be, I hate to be that person, to be that nasty, but there would be just sort of an ironic bit of humor if the seat they drew out of existence was AOC's seat. But from the state delegates, people that I've talked to here in New York, because I live in upstate New York, she may be popular nationally. She's not really that popular in New York. Really? She could win another race in her district, if she's the incumbent, but around the state, she ruffles a lot of feathers. So I wouldn't rule that out. I think Frank may be right. They might be looking at that going, we're going to lose the seat anyway, so we can't really carve out one of the red ones because they're all scattered around in the upstate area. Maybe we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone here.
That would be delicious. I got to say. I mean, it's interesting because Illinois has a problem too. Sean Trendy over at Real Clear Politics made mention that in Illinois, with us hemorrhaging population, even at a faster pace than New York, maybe losing 2 congressional seats after the 20 census, it's going to be very difficult to draw 3 majority African American districts like those currently held by Danny Davis, Bobby Rush, and Robin Kelly here too. So Democrat cartographers in blue states that are shrinking are going to have some challenges after the census.
Yep. We're going to have that problem in California too, I think. Aren't they on the edge, depending what the final numbers are, of losing a seat?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So
because people are fleeing that disaster area of California faster than they're getting more immigrants to come in.
This is the case. So if, like I said, if you can't get it done in 20, House Republicans may be in a good position over the next 2 cycles. He is Jazz Shaw, weekend editor at hotair.com. Jazz, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Anytime. And you guys have a great New Year.
You too.
Thanks. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruit and veggie capsules contain 100% vine-ripened fruits and vegetables with no pesticides, fillers, or additives of any kind, and are the most effective whole food supplements on the market today. Fruits and vegetables are on an average 85% water. Balance of Nature uses cold vacuum technology to remove the water, leaving only the whole food. We don't use any heat, air, or light drying methods that damage nutrients. Our cold vacuum technology maintains 99% of the fresh fruits and vegetables' original nutritional value. See how getting a variety of over 10 servings of whole fruits and vegetables every day can make a difference for you this year. To help you start your New Year's resolutions right, Balance of Nature is offering 35% off and free shipping on your first preferred order of Balance of Nature. This New Year's special won't last, so call in now. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Attention maintenance coordinators and chief engineers. Welding is a craft requiring highly skilled personnel and specialized equipment. So who do you call when you need welding? Vans Industrial can perform all types of welding at your site or in their shop.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. As a metal fabricator and installer, welding is a huge part of our business. At Vans, we have trained AWS certified welders, skilled in welding all types of alloys. We can weld carbon steel, stainless steel, brass, and aluminum with a variety of techniques, including MIG, TIG, and stick. And we have equipment to reach the farthest parts or the tightest areas of your facility.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics, insured at the highest level, to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to schedule your welding project today. That's 833-VANS-IND. Or visit vansindustrial.com. VANSindustrial.com. Vans Industrial, working safe since 1964.
Real travel is life-changing. With Trafalgar, you'll discover the best way to travel and connect with the culture, people, and places you visit. You'll travel with the freedom to discover and the confidence to explore. With over 300 trips on all 7 continents, you get real experiences that you won't find elsewhere. These are just a few of the greatest travel stories you'll ever tell. Save up to 7.5% on trips. Terms and conditions apply. Visit your travel agent or Trafalgar.com. Trafalgar, simply the best.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Limu, when we're not telling people that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need, I've actually been moonlighting as a DJ. Check it! Here's the good part! Liberty, 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 liberty. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
I'm Dan Proft.
And I'm Amy Jacobson.
And we want to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season.
We're talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor Program.
We've partnered with Food for the Poor to feed thousands of families fleeing from the socialist crisis in Venezuela. These families are now in Colombia and are desperate. Food for the Poor is working with local partners at feeding sites to make sure these families survive.
And your business can be a part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. When you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 60-second commercials to air right here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
That's the best advertising deal in all of Chicago. To take advantage of this deal, just call Anjanette Netkowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. One more time, the number 847-472-8951.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, we were getting insights from Jazz Shaw, his predictions about 2020. Mike in Crown Point, Indiana, has a prediction. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer, Mike.
Good morning, guys. I think it's going to be the worst defeat Democrats have ever suffered historically. After Barr and Durham get done, you're going to see not only people leaving the Democratic Party to join Republicans, they're going to be fleeing from that mess. And I think the impeachment of Trump is going to backfire in such a fashion they had no idea what the repercussions are going to be.
Thanks for the call,
Again,
Mike. Appreciate it. Yeah, the Durham report and the conclusions of that investigation, perhaps prosecutions, fingers crossed, that certainly is a wild card. I mean,
and that's coming up, in the spring or in the summer?
Barr just said it's months, not weeks away.
Oh,
over last month. So that, first quarter, second quarter, not sure. Probably worst defeat ever for Democrats. I mean, it's going to be tough to match Mondale losing 49 states or McGovern losing 49 states, but losing the House certainly would be catastrophic for Democrats. I mean, and obviously if Trump is reelected, they'll be, tracing their veins. Before we jump over, though, we need to close the loop on this matter you raised about the Christmas gift you got from Peyton and Eli and your displeasure with it.
Well, real quick, what was your worst Christmas gift that you received? Or wait, you didn't.
All the Christmas gifts I received, I love. Because
did you receive some Christmas gifts?
I practice something called gratitude.
Oh,
so I'm just grateful.
My gosh.
Doesn't matter what the gift is. I'm just grateful.
I am grateful, and I appreciate the homemade cards that they've made throughout the years. But this year, they gave me a toilet light. It's for the toilet bowl, so it lights up and it changes colors. It changes the color of the water from. It's a night light for the toilet. And of course, they put it in their bathroom. I'm like, wow, that's a heck of a Christmas gift.
Well,
that
you're getting
given me and then taken to your porta potty. your
Well,
toilet.
first of all,
Yes. Do you know what I'm talking about?
the gift that Peyton got you this year was getting a job.
Right, he did, and I'm cashing his first check ever, which is
Make sure you don't
$101.
cut yourself in. It's his money.
real quick. He gave me the check and he said, "Now, Mom, once you cash this, do I have to give 10% to my boss?" I'm like, whoa.
That's the Chicago way. You gotta kick 10% upstairs.
Did
yeah.
he ask for 10%? And I showed him, what federal taxes are taken out, state taxes, and he couldn't believe how much money the government takes.
Welcome to the party, Peyton.
Yeah. But anyway, back to the toilet accessories.
Yeah,
'Cause
I-
toilet accessories never really a great Christmas gift for a mom.
I think it was actually a quite thoughtful gift and a timely gift because you now, after last year, are of a certain age where if you have to use the bathroom late at night, you have the possibility that you could fall and break a hip and
right.
die or fall into the toilet. And so this way,
drown,
this way you have a path and
Yeah.
it's safety first.
But it looks weird when it's neon yellow because it looks like, something else is in there. Anyhow, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We're going to talk to John Lott Jr., criminologist, about the left's effort to find a reason after the Jack Wilson heroism outside of Fort Worth. Find a reason that law-abiding gun owners shouldn't be able to carry 838.
And later today, the debut of the Dan Proft Show, danproftshow.com. We'll talk about it. But first, let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Sunshine, 37 degrees. 2 young children are dead, 2 adults fighting for life. This morning, following an incident in Chicago's South Shore neighborhood, officers say they found a woman and a baby early this morning on the ground in front of an apartment building on South Shore Drive. Officers were then directed to an 11th floor apartment. There, they discovered a man with cuts to his face and body and an unresponsive infant. This morning, politically, Julian Castro ending his run for president. His announcement comes after Castro failed to gain enough support or donations to make recent Democrat presidential debates. The Coast Guard moments ago saying they're suspending the search for 5 fishermen who remain missing after their Seattle-based crabbing vessel sank off the coast of Alaska. Taiwan's top military officer and 7 others have been killed in an Air Force helicopter crash in a mountainous area outside of Taipei. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo will not be going to Ukraine because of the outbreak of violence near the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. Authorities have identified an area tow truck driver who was struck and killed along the Eisenhower Expressway in Maywood. Cook County Medical Examiner's Office says Andrew Fadir of Berkeley was towing cars from an earlier crash when a vehicle struck and killed him near 9th Avenue yesterday. Chicago coming off the wettest year in years. National Weather Service says the city saw 49.5 inches of accumulated precipitation in 2019. That makes it the 3rd wettest year in Chicago on record. Bulls welcome the Jazz later on tonight. Blackhawks visiting the Canucks to ring in the new year. The Fighting Illini open the Big Ten basketball 2020 portion of their season tonight against number 16 Michigan State. The news service of Staples. Staples has organizational supplies for the new year at great prices. This week, a case of True Red printer paper is $29.99, a $30 savings. Save on office essentials at Staples. There's a whole lot more in store. In store only on SKU 513096. Ends 1/4/20 at Staples. 8:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher is all in.
I am one of the few who's never wavered in my support of Donald Trump. It's real simple. When you know that the alternative to Donald Trump is unthinkable in terms of our nation's economy, our military, our sovereignty, our borders, this is an easy call. This hasn't been hard for me.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Imagine selling your home in under 30 days without ever listing it. It's possible with the Wexler Real Estate Group's new Instant Offer program. Just schedule a home evaluation and receive an offer for your home. You don't have to pay commissions, service fees, or buyer closing costs. There's no home improvements, inspection, repairs, open houses, or for sale signs. You don't even have to do the dishes. If you accept the offer, you pick the closing date that's convenient for you. And you can be out in less than 30 days. Hassle-free. If you do choose the traditional sales route, no problem. Ron Wexler, Tammy Northcutt, and the team at the Wexler Group at Keller Williams Preferred Realty have over 35 years of experience to help you sell your home for top dollar in today's market. For more information on the Wexler Group's Instant Offer program, call or text 708-629-5151. That's 708-629-5151. Or visit thewexlergroup.com. Certain conditions and fees apply. Ron Wexler is an Illinois licensed real estate agent serving Chicago and its suburbs.
Hi, it's Amy Jacobson, and I have an exclusive offer for our listeners just in time for the holidays. If you buy a set of Giza cotton sheets from MyPillow, you'll get a second set free, 2 for 1. Not only that, but you'll get free shipping. If you add anything else to your order, like MyPillows, mattress toppers, towels, anything, those items will ship free too. And you can get deep discounts on all MyPillow products, but you have to use the promo code AMY. I love MyPillow. I can't sleep without it. And I just started sleeping with my brand new Giza cotton sheets, and I'm sleeping so much better. All products have a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. So go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener special box, and get 2 sets of Giza cotton sheets for the price of 1, plus free shipping on your entire order. That's MyPillow.com. Click the radio specials box and enter the promo code AMY. Or call 800-489-0201. MyPillow.com, promo code AMY.
It is 8:36 in the AM 560 traffic center. Here is Jim Telemonte.
In Orland Park, 159th Street is closed eastbound from Will Cook to Wolf after an earlier rollover collision. Adams Tollway eastbound I-90 traffic is stop and go from Meacham to Gulf Road. There's a rollover there. 2 left lanes are blocked. The other tollways look good this morning. No problem to report on the Edens. Kennedy inbound at State Division to the Hubbard Tunnel. 22 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 22 as well. On Eisenhower, there's a crash at the bottom of the exit to North Avenue. You're looking at a 4 or 5 minute delay from Western to the Bird Circle. Mount Stevenson, just a little congested. Ashland to the Ryan. Ryan has a 5 minute delay coming into downtown. I-57, Division Ford look good. That's traffic. I'm Jim Telemonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1 hour heating and air conditioning weather center, we'll have sunshine this morning, turning cloudy in the afternoon and a high of 46. Currently 37. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. We talked about it a bit earlier in the show. Some interesting op-eds from those less inclined to be supportive of individual gun rights in response to the heroism of Jack Wilson at the church in White Settlement, Texas, taking down a church shooter who had murdered 2 of Jack Wilson's fellow congregants with one shot from about 50 feet away across the room. Now, this was a firearm instructor, and he's actually a candidate for county commissioner down in Tarrant County. This is, and his campaign slogan, make sure your vote is on target.
Well, you know what? That's all right. Good for him.
That slogan,
it's topical. It works, and that slogan was in place before the church shooting.
Right. It's it's talk about foreshadowing. Jack Wilson on the event and the decision that he made and the heroism that he exhibited.
You mentioned that you took a pause because there were people in the area.
And there were people in front of me between the shooter and myself trying to get, because the chaos that erupted when he shot the first time, some of the people stood up and were trying to get in the way. I had to wait just a second because the whole thing was less than 6 seconds from start to finish. And, that was, I had to make sure I didn't hit it, someone, a member there, as they were right in front of me. There was no verbal communication out of him whatsoever at that point. He was down, he was bleeding profusely, and the only movement was, just body twitching, which, happens, when someone is in that condition where they're about to die.
The rounds that put him down were yours?
Yeah, there was only one. I only fired one round, and it was, the only shot I had, which, was a headshot. Which, in my classes I teach not to take headshots, but that was what I felt. That's the only shot I had a clear shot, and I was comfortable taking the shot. I don't see myself as a hero. I see myself as doing what needed to be done to take out the evil threat. That's the way I approach it. That is, like I said earlier, that's how I am, processing this whole event.
He's a cool customer, no question, and I like the fact that both he and the minister there talked about evil. There is evil in this world.
Yeah, I saw your tweet on it.
Also, we find out that the shooter was known to the church, that he had actually been fed by the church before, and he was apparently upset that the church leadership there had refused his request for money. The shooter also was ruled mentally incompetent to stand trial in 2012. So known quantity again. And it's worth pointing out, Jack Wilson also was the lead for security for the church, which is why he was carrying. But there was at least half a dozen other congregants that were carrying as well. And this has been something that the gun grabbers have seized upon to say, oh, sure, Jack Wilson was a hero. What he did was heroic, and that's great. But he was trained.
Mm-hmm. One round fired.
And from 50 feet, too. And he was the designee, the designated security person. But now all these other people carrying guns. Is that really the culture we want? Cover me, I'm going to communion? For more on the topic, we're pleased to be joined by John Lott Jr., president of the Crime Prevention Research Center, author of a number of books, including The War on Guns and More Guns, Less Crime. John, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Well, Happy New Year. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you. And so the arguments that, hey, look, it was great what Jack Wilson did, but that speaks to the need to have perhaps an individual trained in places like soft targets like churches or schools, but it certainly doesn't justify just random congregants carrying weapons.
Well, on our website at crimeresearch.org, we have literally dozens of cases in just the last few years where people with permanent concealed handguns have stopped what otherwise would have been mass public shootings, just as happened at this church near Fort Worth. And, and they worked out well. The types of concerns that were raised by gun control activists, advocates such as, maybe they would shoot somebody else, or maybe when the police arrived, they would accidentally shoot the wrong person. Are those types of things possible? Sure. But the point is that in none of the cases where people have used their permanent concealed handguns to legally stop one of these attackers have either of those concerns that were raised actually occurred. And, it seems to me if you can point to dozens of cases where what would have been a mass public shooting was stopped by these civilians, and they're successful, and you can't point to a single case where the types of problems that they're concerned about have happened, it doesn't seem to me that you're going to want to put a lot of weight on the types of concerns that they're raising.
Now, the other concern raised, one of the other concerns raised, to try to, muddle the issue a bit, to say, yeah, Jack Wilson, good guy with a gun, but you still had a bad guy with a gun, and that speaks to our gun culture. How did the shooter obtain a weapon? And don't forget, there was a bad guy with a gun, and this speaks to guns, the omnipresence of guns.
Sure. Right. Well, the problem is it's pretty hard to stop bad people from getting guns. The major source, for example, I mean, we know that this person illegally obtained the gun. The major source for illegal guns are drug dealers. It's as hard to, let's put it this way, it's as easy for a criminal to obtain a gun as it is for them to obtain illegal drugs. If you think that we've successfully stopped people from obtaining illegal drugs in this country, I wish we were able to go and stop them from being able to do that. And the problem that you have is that if you go and you ban guns from these areas there, who would have been the only person that would have had the gun then in that case? It would have been the bad guy. And guess what? If you have only the bad guy having the gun, what do you think is going to happen?
Right. Now, in New York State, this is rather interesting. There's a story in the Post about Jews taking a self-defense class after the Jersey City kosher market shooting.
Right.
But the self-defense class, administered by a former NYPD officer and martial arts expert, is showing Jewish people how to throw axes as a counterterrorism measure. But it just strikes me as remarkable now, particularly now thinking about this after the machete attack at the synagogue in Monsey, New York. Boy, an axe, unarmed at altogether, so that you could be susceptible to somebody wielding a knife or a machete, as was the case in that synagogue attack. What is it? What's the psychosis people need to get over to say, I'm going to be trained on another inanimate object, not an axe, but a gun, because that's the great equalizer. So I'm going to become proficient where I feel comfortable so that I can defend myself, my loved ones, and others. I just, the axe throwing class just is remarkable to me as a response to the Jersey City shooting.
Right. Well, we don't have police officers going around carrying axes to go and try to defend themselves. There's a reason why police think that it's a lot more effective for them to go and have guns for self-defense. And what are you going to do if the attacker there is able to go and get a gun? Do you really want to go and take an axe to a gunfight? My guess is the answer is no. My wish is I wish that in that knife attack that was occurred in New York against the Jews there, that one of them had been armed. And, the thing is, my guess is the entire gun control debate would be very different if stories like this case in Texas got more attention. The thing that's unusual about this case in Texas is that it got national news coverage.
Yeah.
The other cases, as I say, I can give you dozens of dramatic cases that just don't get news coverage. And the last 5 years, I can only think of 2 other cases that got any national news coverage where a permit holder stopped what would have been a mass public shooting. And in the cases there, the media got it backwards. They didn't even get it right. I'll give you one example. A year ago, there was the synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh. 2 days different from that, you may remember there was a mass public shooting at a Kroger grocery store in Louisville, Kentucky, and or what almost was a mass public shooting. A racist had gone into the grocery store and was shooting blacks. And what got the national news coverage was the quote. This was on NBC Meet the Press and many other national outlets, was that the murderer in that case told another customer, whites don't shoot whites. And the way it was played in the media was here you had this racist going to a white customer and assuring the white customer that he was okay, he wasn't going to get shot because whites don't shoot whites. Well, I actually was texting back and forth up until that time with Chuck Todd. And when Chuck basically spent about 5 minutes on the story and had that quote, I texted him. I said, look, here are some articles from Louisville, and they have a more complete quote, because what the murderer had actually done was he had said, please don't shoot me. Whites don't shoot whites. What happened was that rather than assuring the customer there that he wasn't going to shoot him, the customer there had a permanent concealed handgun pointed at the murderer. And the murderer was pleading with the customer not to shoot the murderer. And so here you had a white customer that came to the aid of the black customers that were there and exchanged gunfire with the murderer and wounded him. And the murderer got into his car, drove about a mile, and passed out because of his wounds, and the police caught him then. But, but even in the case where the national media covered it, they got it backwards. And nobody would correct. They wouldn't even correct it.
Well, I mean, with this example is corrected, but even though Jack Wilson and what happened in White Settlement, Texas got national coverage, Reuters got it wrong too. Reuters reported that the shooter owned a range and was trained and trained other people in firearm use. And in point of fact, of course, it was Jack Wilson that owned the range and trained. So 180 degrees wrong, ascribing to the shooter this idea, oh, well, he's just like any, hey, a mass shooter could be a range owner who trains law-abiding citizens in how to use firearms. No, that wasn't the case. It was the opposite. So, right. that story was corrected, but I mean, that's still a gross error, and their gross errors always seem to be in the direction of their preferred narrative.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's embarrassing, but, the thing is, one of the reasons why I think that this case was unusual in terms of getting coverage is that Jack Wilson was part of security, and and obviously he was just a volunteer. He wasn't getting paid. It was just, that's what happens in a lot of these churches. They just say, well, you have a concealed carry permit. We'll make you our security force that's here.
What if you dare to bring a weapon in as an usher without a concealed carry? If you have a FOID card, is that
well, you don't need a FOID card there. That's only Illinois. Well,
right,
not
but I'm
only
saying in Illinois, if someone
yeah.
was ushering, and there's recently been some outbursts where people storm the church yelling, "You guys are communists," and all these crazy people keep interrupting the service, and say the usher brought in a weapon but didn't have a concealed carry, and something happened and they used their weapon, what kind of ramifications would there be?
Well, it'd be illegal for the person to be carrying without a concealed carry permit in Texas. That's required. But Texas law says that you're allowed to go and bring in a permanent concealed handgun, into a church with the approval of the minister for the church there. And so the minister basically there in Texas said, look, you have a concealed carry permit. You've got through the training and gotten approved. I'll just automatically designate you guys as our security force.
Exactly, and that law change was after the Sutherland Springs church shooting in 2017, where you had another certified instructor, Stephen Williford, grab his AR-15, engage the shooter, and save lives, and lead to a law change so that Jack Wilson was in a position to save lives on Sunday. I mean, it's remarkable the twists and contortions the left is trying to do to argue that this isn't good public policy.
No, the left fought strenuously against the change that went into effect in September. The law that you're talking about, they said that was dangerous, that you can't allow people to have it because something might possibly go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fortunately, they lost in this case, and the law went into effect. Otherwise, it very likely would have been a lot of dead people at that church. And, I mean, that's the Texas Department of Public Safety, the local county sheriff, others have said that they believe many people would have been killed if it hadn't been for for Jack Wilson there. But as I say, on our website, there are literally dozens of dramatic cases, not just the Kroger grocery store. I can give you, just a few months after the Parkland shooting in Florida, there was another shooting at a school, an elementary school. It was kind of an event for parents and kids at a local park, literally hundreds of kids there plus their parents. And a man came over and started shooting his gun.
Yeah.
Fortunately, since it was at a park, there were vendors that were there, and one of the vendors had his permanent concealed handgun. He was allowed to be there with it since it wasn't a school, and he seriously wounded the attacker before, even though the attacker had fired multiple shots, he hadn't hit anybody. But the people were screaming. The kids were kind of trapped because it was a baseball field, and they were kind of, bunched up against the fence there and couldn't get out. And the killer was moving in towards them. And but the permit holder stopped it. Now the thing is, that only got local news coverage. Can you imagine the night, but national coverage or more international coverage that would have gotten if the permit holder wasn't there to stop it and the killer had gone and actually hit his targets as he eventually would have. And it creates a real imbalance because when bad things happen, they get huge international coverage. When people stop them from happening, the media completely ignores them, except in this case where I think, as I say, what happened was it got coverage because the initial news stories were all, armed security at the church stopped it,
right?
Which is okay. It fits their narrative that's there. I'll give you one other.
John, I'm sorry, we got to go, but I appreciate it. The website is crimeresearch.org for more of these stories. Crimeresearch.org. John Lott Jr., president of the Crime Prevention Research Center. John, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, Pat, I need copies of your engineering blueprints for the new tenants on floor 15.
We have the specs right here. Their business operates in a sensitive environment. We're going to have HVAC issues.
This is definitely a challenge. We'd better get Hayward HVAC involved now.
HVAC needs will vary by business, and some can be extremely challenging. Hayward HVAC Company will eliminate your headaches and bring over 100 years of expert results to your building. They don't just deal with ventilation, they fabricate in-house. Hayward designs solutions. They solve problems. When Hayward HVAC Company is on the job, you can trust it'll be done right. How else do you last for over 100 years? Call Hayward HVAC Company at 847-671-0400 or visit haywardhvac.com. That's 847-671-0400. Hayward HVAC, a tradition of trust since 1915.
Christmas, a beautiful time of the year to create memories with your family and friends. So why not start a new holiday family tradition with a ride to Gobert's Pumpkin Patch in Pingree Grove? Experience the wonder of their annual Christmas light show. From the cozy comfort of your vehicle, you'll drive through a path featuring over 2 million dazzling LED lights choreographed to your favorite holiday tunes. Tickets are available at the entrance or purchase in advance at GobertsPumpkinPatch.com. Entry fee is $5 per person or a max of $20 per car. Special rates are available for oversized vehicles. Open 6 nights a week, closed on Mondays. Be sure to visit GobertsPumpkinPatch.com for hours and details. Look for the glow of the lights off I-90 and Route 47. Follow Gobert's Pumpkin Patch on Facebook for up-to-date information and events. And if Santa brings you an engagement ring, let Gobert's help arrange a magical wedding experience right on the farm. From the Gobert's family to your family, wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
AM 560, The Answer.
Thank you so much for making us part of your morning. Thanks to Justin Kosick, our technical producer, and Quinn McCarthy, who is, I think, our toilet accessorizer. He knew all about this light-up toilet gift I got for Christmas.
He's also the producer of the Dan Proft Show.
Yeah, Dan Proft Show. DanProftShow.com. That's where it's at. Good luck. Have fun. And we'll see you tomorrow.
I'll make you proud.
It is 9 a.m. WIND, Chicago.
There's one less Democrat running for president.